Good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park. I'm Mayor Bianca Motley Broom. We have a full quorum present with council members McKenzie, Karn, Arnold, and Gay. So I will call the meeting to order at this time, subject to my continuing objections regarding Ordinance 2024-01 and the omnibus motion this body passed on January 2nd. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think Chaplain Dent's doing the invocation this evening.
Yes, ma'am. The invocation will be given by Chaplain Dent.
And ladies and gentlemen, I would ask before Chaplain Dent begins to silence all your cell phones.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, City Manager, City Attorney, and City Clerk. Grace and peace be unto you. Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, we come to you this evening with gratitude and humility. As we pause in this hallowed moment, let us recognize your ever-abiding presence. We ask for your wisdom and guidance for our mayor and council members as they lead our community. Grant them clarity of thought, discernment in decision-making, and a deep sense of responsibility towards the people they serve. Lord, we ask that you help them to work together harmoniously, to listen with empathy, and to act with integrity. May their leadership be marked by justice, compassion, and a commitment to the common good. Inspire them to address all citizens' needs, foster unity, and build a community where everyone can thrive. Bless all departments, supervisors, staff, and families. May your grace especially be with them. Let them feel appreciated and valued in the workplace. Bless our police officers and firefighters according to Psalm 91. May your presence protect them and may no evil befall them. Help us, O God, to face the serious facts of our time and give us the courage to meet them with wisdom, discipline, and resourcefulness. Deliver us from strife, selfishness, duplicity, and fear-mongering. Help us, the citizens of College Park, to survive the infectious climate of confusion and uncertainty. Raise among us enlightened and concerned citizens who cherish this city. This city, College Park, a gateway to the world, an hospitality district with streets named after great colleges and great leaders who served. College Park is a place of retreat, a sanctuary from life's trouble. Park is a place to spend outdoors and let our subconscious help us to recognize and realize our God-given dreams. College Park is a place of positive economic benefits for home buyers, workers, and retirees. Shall we destroy it, Lord, or shall we rise and build like Nehemiah, a strong community in the city of College Park? Now let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and Redeemer. I pray this in the name of the Father, the Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And amen. Amen.
Madam Mayor, our next item is the Civility Pledge led by Bill Crane.
For those in the audience who are unaware, the Georgia Municipal Association founded a program several years ago for cities to follow for both the general public and the elected and appointed officials. It's called simply the Civility Pledge. Anyone in the room familiar with the Golden Rule? Kind of that. But here's the language of the Civility Pledge, which I'm reading tonight as we sort of turn a page as a community, elected, appointed, and of the general public, as we meet together in this people's house. The way we govern ourselves is important as the positions which we take. Our collective decisions will be better when differing views have had the opportunity to be fully vetted and considered. All people have the right to be treated with respect, courtesy, and openness. We value all input. We commit to conduct ourselves at all times with civility and courtesy to each other. We will look to each other for that first. Those who openly choose to not follow these rules and guidelines might be asked to tone it down. If they break into vulgarities or personal attack, they might be asked to leave the auditorium. But simply put, let's everybody behave as you would in church, or if your mother was in the room. I think that's a pretty simple rule. We all will be able to follow it. I appreciate your time and attention. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, I would ask that if you have your cell phones, put them on silent or vibrate.
Madam Mayor, the next agenda item is an announcement by Police Chief Rogers.
Good evening, Mayor, Council,
Good evening.
College Park. I just want to make a few announcements. This is a regular scheduled meeting. Public comments are allowed. You each will have 3 minutes to express yourself. If you like something that's being said, a small clap, but then after that, you may be asked to tone it down. Want everybody to have their First Amendment rights being heard. But this meeting will be, I repeat, this meeting will be conducted with law and order. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Madam Mayor, the next item on the agenda is the additions, deletions, amendments, or changes to the agenda.
Are there any?
Yeah, yes, Mayor. Item 7A, 7J, and 7Q, and also 9A and 9F.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Wait,
7A,
Uh-huh.
7,
7A, 7J, and 7Q.
7, okay, so 7A is a public hearing to receive comments on the, I'm sorry, I apologize.
I think you mean 8A, 8J, 8Q, 9A. You're removing the public hearing item because there's not a 7J or a 7Q, sir.
All right, let's start one more time. 7A is consideration of an action on a request to approve a conditional use permit for a foster care support services facility at 1699 Phoenix Parkway.
Yes, that's, I refer that to the city attorney, or, there was no supporting document. You got
We
it?
we have the conditional use permit application. It's been,
Let it stay there, if there's supporting document.
okay. So what needs to be removed?
J, 8J, and 8Q.
8J is consideration of an action on a request to approve payment of the facade grant in the amount of $10,000 to Mackenzie Brother Realty LLC. And 8Q is consideration of an action on a request of the reconstruction of hole number 4 green at the College Park Golf Course.
Madam Mayor, I have one additional item that needs to be removed as well, and it is item 9B as in boy.
9B, consideration of an action on a request to adopt an ordinance regarding the provisions of 2024 election services with the Fulton County Board of Elections and Registration.
Yes, ma'am.
And also 9A.
Wait, hold on one second. Hold on. 9A is removed as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Consideration of an action for the approval of a down payment assistance home buyers workshop. Okay, anything else?
F.
9F is
No,
in Frank.
F, I believe, do you have enough? Think so. Oh, okay, we
No.
can leave F on then.
Okay, so 8J, 8Q, 9A, and 9B are to be removed from the agenda. Any other changes? Is there a motion?
Madam Mayor, can you say that one more time? I
Yes,
apologize.
ma'am.
8J,
8J,
8Q.
which is consideration of an action on a request to approve payment of the facade grant in the amount of $10,000 to Mackenzie Brothers Realty. 8Q, consideration of an action on a request of the reconstruction of hole number 4 green at the College Park Golf Course. 9A, consideration of an action for the approval of a down payment assistance home buyers workshop. And 9B, consideration of an action on a request to adopt an ordinance regarding the provisions of 2024 election services with the Fulton County Board of Elections and Registration.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All on the same page? All right, is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Carn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Gay. Discussion, Councilmember Carn.
City Manager, I'm assuming these items are going to be on a follow-up on a subsequent meeting at some point?
Okay.
Well, I'm assuming the reason why they're pulled off is they're not quite ready yet? Or-
The F, you know, what's.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll see them at the next meeting or the
Yeah,
meeting
yes,
thereafter?
I'll put it to the
Okay.
next,
All right.
Not all of them.
Madam Mayor, the item 9B is past the deadline for the current IGA. We will have to receive a second IGA before we can move forward with that item. So it won't be on the next agenda in September. It will be at some item agenda at a future date.
Which one is that?
Consideration of an action on a request to adopt an ordinance regarding the provisions of 2024 election services with the Fulton County Board of Elections and Registration.
That IGA was for the November ballot, and the deadline for that ballot passed prior to, or passed on August 9th.
We already passed that.
We're past the
We're
deadline.
past the deadline.
To add the item
Okay.
to the ballot, according to the Fulton County Election Superintendent.
Okay. All right.
Councilmember Gay?
City Attorney, so who conducts our November 2024 election?
We have an agreement with Fulton County.
So I'm confused. What are you saying about we missed the IGA? So what does that mean?
I mean, I guess the clerk can clarify that position.
Good evening,
Hello,
Ms.
Mayor.
Brown.
Hello, it's nice to see y'all on this side of the podium. So the IGA for the November 7th was for the recall if it were to happen. We are currently in the process of it being paused and having to go to court, so it won't be on the November 7th ballot. We have to wait for the court to make a decision until then.
But our general election remains with Fulton County.
Correct, but we have nothing on the ballot.
I get it.
As a city.
As a city, we have
I got it.
nothing.
You clarified it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that is unanimous. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Carn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Gay. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for the regular session dated June 7th, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Carn. Is there a second?
Second with discussion.
Thank you, Councilmember McKenzie. Go right ahead.
Okay, I have several things on the agenda, on the minutes that I want to have corrected. Line 716 says, it's stating that the city clerk made that statement. The statement is, okay, why do we need $15,000 for a backpack giveaway? This has been funded privately by donations in the past. Why are we reducing fringe? It's a long paragraph, but I don't believe that was the city clerk that made that statement. So I guess we just need to find out who made the statement starting at line 716. Also, line 1531, just the spelling of Ruth Muhammad's name is incorrect. It should be Muhammad, Ruth Muhammad. Line 2561 should be resources, not sources. Line 2577 should be, I have not been affiliated with Ignite in a year. Line 2743 should be, and my board members, not body members. Line 2752 should be, you can't beat God-given giving, not be God-given. It says you can't be God-given. It should be you can't beat God-given. Line 2944, Councilwoman McKenzie seconded the rock wall vote, not Councilwoman Arnold. Line 2957, says that Councilwoman Arnold seconded, it should be Councilwoman McKenzie seconded that vote. Line 3690 should say Flint River, not Frent, F-R-E-N-T, Lipp, L-I-P-P. It should be Flint River. And line 3702, I believe the clerk said 22 seconds left and not 22 minutes left. I also would like to have the spelling of my name corrected to Jamel with an E at the end on the minutes in certain areas.
Anything further?
Nope, that's it.
Any other amendments?
Line 2229, it says, it should say ZUP, that's Z-U-P-P, and not SUP. So get rid of the S-U-P, park. Okay.
All right. Anything else? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
Madam Mayor, the next item is consideration of an action on a request for proclamation for Woodward Academy's 125th anniversary.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Carn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Arnold. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
The next item is consideration of an action on a proclamation for National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Arnold. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember McKenzie. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
The next item on the agenda is consideration of an action on a request for proclamation for Brian Granville of the Granville Group.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember McKenzie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Arnold. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
The next item on the agenda is consideration of an action on a request for proclamation for Carly Reed of the Empowerment Zone STEM program.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember McKenzie. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Carn. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Gay, you were in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. I didn't quite hear you. All right, that is unanimous. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the next item on the agenda is citizen comment.
May I, Madam? I just have just want to request that as we do citizens' comments this evening, would it be possible to start the timer when people begin speaking and then stop it at 3 minutes? Because what I think we've been doing is just running the clock through this 36 minutes, which means that we end up, people lose some time. I want everybody to get their 3 minutes. So my request is that we start the clock when a person begins, and then we end it. And then once we have accumulated 36 minutes that way, we would end the public comment. I also believe that we had voted to add 6 minutes on in addition to the 36 minutes for public comment for email comments. I want to make sure if there are any email comments tonight. Okay, just wanted to mention that. Well, thank you so much. So do we need to vote on that, or is that something?
Well, if you would, just address it toward me so I can acknowledge you.
Oh, okay. Okay,
and
so,
we can-
Madam Mayor?
Is there a consensus amongst the body to move forward in that method?
It's fine with me. Just make sure everyone gets the full 3 minutes. Yeah.
I'll do the best I can.
All right.
Got me double fisted.
Okay.
Councilmember Gay?
I'm okay with it.
All right.
The first citizen is Steve Alexander at 4132 Williamsburg Drive. There is no item for discussion.
I see my councilman didn't want to hear what I had to say tonight. That's fine with me. Hi, my name is Steve Alexander. Good evening, Madam Mayor, and my city councilmen, citizens, and friends. I have in tonight in the audience with me some member of my organization, the South Fulton Ministerial Alliance. I would like for them to stand so we can recognize them with me tonight. So I just want to let them know that they are in the building tonight. And I'm here to address certain things that's going on in the city. I have sat back over the last 8 months and been reviewing some things, and I don't like it. I have not voted for nobody up there. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not cast my vote for nobody up there. But what I'm seeing is that my tax dollars are at waste. On last Friday before last, on the special call meeting, I was removed for no action at all by the city manager's words. And I think that was a part that we just understand that our First Amendment rights was violated that day. I did personally file agreements with the Attorney General, so don't think it was just 30 people. I was personally did it. So the misconception is it's only a few people. No, it was not a few people. It was a lot of people. I'm disheartened. I'm upset with what's being discussed and how people are being treated. It's not right. I think that amongst each other, I'm not going to say one person is bigger than the other, one person is smaller than the other. But at the same time, we all have to treat each other with respect. And I think that the pledge tonight was an example of respect. A lot of times people don't talk to the mama the way people have been talking to each other up there. And that's distasteful. So I'm here tonight to get an understanding of why we can't get along. And my second point is tonight is the fact of that my tax dollars are being wasted. I don't think that it's fair that my tax dollar pay for attorney fees for something I didn't have anything to do with. I'm assuming that it was voted upon to use my tax dollars for something that did not affect me in my community, on my side of town, but we are College Park as one. But at the same time, my tax dollars should not be used to fight a fight that I was not involved in. And number three is wasteful spending. Wasteful spending is top on our list. We have about a $4 million worth of slush funds that's being allocated in our community, saying they call community initiatives. Okay. Some stuff is budgeted, some things are not
Madam Mayor,
budgeted.
that's time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the next person is James Walker, 2071 Ruby. Topic of discussion is governance.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
It appears to me that we have an issue in College Park. I am unbought. I do not have a contract with the city. I do not receive any money from the city, nor am I seeking any contracts from the city. Having said that, we have a motion on the table censoring the College Park City Council. Having said that, do I have a second?
Yes.
Do I have a third?
Yes, you do.
And do I have a fourth?
Yes.
Be that resolved. A resolution censoring the College Park City Council, specifically Councilwoman Jamel McKenzie, Councilman Joe Carnes, Councilman Roderick Gay, for their conduct during the August 5th and August 9th City Council meeting to provide an effective date and for other lawful purposes. Whereas the City of College Park Council, including Councilwoman Jamel McKenzie, Joe Carnes, and Roderick Gay, were elected by the residents of the City of College Park to serve with integrity, transparency, and respect for the democratic process. And whereas the actions of these council members during the August 5th and August 9th meetings were disruptive to the democratic process, displaying a blatant disregard for their responsibilities and duties to the community and undermining public trust. And whereas Councilwoman Jamel McKenzie, Councilman Joe Carnes, and Councilman Roderick Gay were observed engaging in disruptive conduct, including randomly leaving the chambers, like tonight, refusing to allow the mayor to speak on motions, and unlawfully removing the mayor's presiding role over the meeting. And whereas the City Council's decision to impose a 2-hour time limit on the meeting and to move 11 of 33 agenda items to a consent agenda with a single vote deprived the community of the opportunity to engage in meaningful discussions on critical issues, including matters of public safety, city finances, and whereas the actions of Councilwoman Jamel McKenzie, Councilman Joe Carnes, and Councilman Roderick Gay, who is not here, reflect a pattern of behavior that prioritizes personal and political interest and personal favors to their friends, their contributors, over the well-being of the community. And whereas the City Council's decision to have citizens removed from the City Council chambers on August the 9th without legal justification and violating the Open Meetings Act, Section 5014-1, as well as our First Amendment rights, are unjustly silencing the voices of the citizens, represents an action that is unacceptable and undemocratic. And whereas the behavior of City Council during the August 5th and August 9th meetings represent a gross failure to meet the standards expected of elected officials and constitutes a serious breach of public trust pursuant to Section 2.73 of the City Code. Now therefore, based upon the foregoing, as the citizens of College Park, we find and determine and resolve as follows. The City Council
Mayor, that's
specifically...
time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Specifically, Councilman Jamel McKenzie, Joe Carnes, and Councilman Roderick Gay, who is not here, is hereby formally censured, rebuked, and condemned in the strongest possible terms for their disruptive conduct, unlawful removal from the mayor for her presiding roles, and the unlawful removal of citizens from the council chambers, and their blatant disregard for the principles of transparency and accountability during the public meeting held on August the 5th and August the 9th of 2024. The City Council is called upon to immediately restore decorum and respect in all future meetings, to adhere strictly to the city charter and all other ordinances, code of ethics, and governing laws, and to ensure that all actions taken by the council are in the best interest of the residents of College Park. The City Council is called upon to maintain the highest ethical standards of elected and appointed officials, including to serve others and not themselves, to use resources with efficiency and economy, to treat all people fairly, to use the power of their positions for the well-being of the constituents, and create an environment of honest and openness and integrity. The City Council is further called upon to issue a public apology to Mayor Bianca Motley Broom, the city staff, and the residents of College Park for their conduct during the August 5th and August 9th meetings, and to commit to a course of action that prioritizes open debate, public engagement, and the fair administration of city affairs. Be it further resolved that the City of College Park will take immediate steps to review and amend its policies to prevent any further breaches of good order and decorum in public meetings, ensure that all elected officials are held accountable for their actions. Be it further resolved that any and all resolutions or actions taken by the City Council during the August 5th and August 9th meetings that are found to be in violation of City Charter and the Open Meetings Act, Section 5014-1, are hereby declared null and void. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its adoption by the citizens of College Park, and that it serves as a formal record of the community's deep dissatisfaction with the conduct of the City Council during the aforementioned meeting, enacted and adopted this day, the 19th of August, 2024.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, there are still, well, I think there were like 30 seconds left for the person who yielded their time. I don't know who that was.
I believe that was Ms. McGurk.
Okay. Julie, it's not quite your turn, but I will call you and you'll have that time if that's okay. Thank you. The next citizen comment comes from Elizabeth Lester at 2003 Cambridge Avenue regarding governance.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I sent an email to you all on Friday and didn't get a response from anyone, so I thought I'd go ahead and read it just to make sure that you all got it and heard what I had to say. I'm writing to express my concerns about certain items on the agenda for Monday evening, as it appears that certain organizations are set to receive what are identified as budgeted items without consideration as to whether the services being contracted are duplicative with those being provided by other providers, or whether the contractor is actually the best organization to be providing the services in the first place. In particular, I would like to point out that 2 of the contractors are also hold council-appointed positions on VITA, which I believe raises serious questions regarding potential conflicts of interest and whether the council is favoring their friends in considering these services. At a time when the citizens' trust in our elected officials is at an all-time low, I would encourage all of you to consider the perception being created that this council is for sale and that there is effectively no transparency. I therefore would encourage you to remove items O and R from the consent agenda and instead consider those under other business, so that there can be a discussion about why these services are needed, these contractors are best suited, and whether consideration has been given to other organizations for these types of services. With respect to item O, I note that the $15,000 being given to Favor House includes a description that is nearly identical to the services being provided by Ignite Resource Center, and is in addition to the $50,000 that was given for food giveaways just weeks ago. I would like to understand why a second organization needs to be providing these services in addition to the Ignite Resource Center. This is in particular because the Ignite Resource Center is in breach of their contract, which requires that they have an active website. I pointed this out in March of this year. They also have been unable to provide any information regarding the services they have been providing and the number of people being impacted by their services. Without this information, it is impossible to determine the full scope of the need. I'm not saying there's not a need. I think we need to count it and figure it out and make sure that it's being met. With regards to item R, I note that this seems like $30,000 for 6 weeks of consulting services, but does not appear to cover the costs required for the actual STEM empowerment zone being established. If that is not the case, additional information should be provided to explain what portion of that $30,000 cost is going to yet another appointee of an elected official for consulting work versus what portion is going to other costs. As both a woman engineer and attorney, I am especially attuned to the fact that STEM has a representation problem across both gender and race. There are numerous organizations that already work with communities to provide these types of services, and I do not believe it is advisable to pay a consultant that appears to have no background in STEM education itself for these types of services when there are infinitely more qualified individuals. We should instead have a group of citizen volunteers work with city employees and educators in the community and local organizations to identify and implement solutions. This
Madam
could
Mayor,
be through a
that's time.
special.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next citizen is, and I'm sorry, is it Moss James IV? Mose, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mose James IV, and I've lived in and around College Park for 42 years. I am not on the payroll, nor do I seek a contract with the city. I'm here as a concerned resident who has witnessed a disturbing pattern unfold in our city government since January 2nd, when the new administration took over. At their first action, they passed ordinances limiting my mayor's ability to engage in meetings, deliberate, and simply ask questions on critical matters. But it didn't stop there. Next, they focused on employees who dared to speak up and offer new ideas to provide a full picture of opportunities for our city. They were pushed out, forced into early retirements, or simply left due to the pressure. In the span of just a few months, nearly 20 key officials have been lost. We've lost our city manager. We lost our real city manager, our economic development director, city planner, finance director, human resources director, city engineer, city clerk, fire chief, executive director of the GICC Arena Golf Course, and the list goes on. Each position integral to the effective running of our city government. When these roles are left vacant or unfulfilled, are filled by less experienced individuals, it affects everything from our city planning to financial stability. But on Friday, August the 9th, this council turned its tactics on us, the community. As we peacefully supported our mayor, they used their interim city manager to do their dirty work. This is what they've been doing for months. We were kicked out of the room that we pay for. This council and this interim city manager, they feel empowered to silence the voices of the very people they're supposed to serve. So we've silenced the mayor, silenced employees, now we're silencing constituents, but let's focus on who gets to speak. In a couple of minutes, a very well-dressed man is going to step up here. He's friends with the council. He'll talk about plantation politics and use other derogatory terms to attack those who disagree with his friends up here. He's going to be given an unlimited amount of time to speak because that's what they do every week. This is yet another way that they silence the community by giving extended time to the people that they like, and they cut off people who oppose their lack of transparency and accountability. This practice takes up all the time for public comments, leaving no room for others to be heard. And now, the silencing has reached an all-time level of peak stupidity. In a move that defies logic and basic governance, at the special call meeting on August the 9th, Councilman Joe Carn made a motion to forbid any further questions from being asked. And the rest of our council unanimously voted on it. They voted to silence themselves. Can you imagine trying to run a city, trying to make decisions without the ability to ask questions or engage in discussion?
Madam Mayor, that's time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. This, to me, is just not undemocratic. It's downright foolish. I'm going to go off script for a second. Many of y'all just saw some guy, I don't know him, try to hand me a lot of paperwork. It's very similar to this paperwork right here. These are some papers that I was served with not too long ago from plaintiff Jamil McKenzie. And it's fine. I can afford it. I can handle it. I'm not upset at it. But not only are they trying to silence me, they're trying to silence their own, because right beside my name is Queenie Brown in her official capacity as deputy city clerk. They want to sue their deputy city clerk for doing her job. Some of you look confused up there. I welcome you to go grab that piece of horse manure that guy just handed me a second ago. With so much being silenced, what are we hearing loud and clear? They're telling us that our opinions don't matter. If we attempt to express those opinions, they will use force to kick us out of here. They will not only silence us, they will use our police. And I want to tell you one thing. I love the College Park Police. I have great relationships with many of them here. I hate that our council wants to pit my friends in the police department against the people that they're here sworn to protect. I stand before you today to say that this pattern must end. Our city cannot be run by silencing dissent and shutting down discussion. It's time to bring back transparency, accountability, and the open exchange of ideas that our democracy is built on. I agree with Pastor Dent. Let's build a strong College Park. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, may I ask who yielded his time?
Dom Kelly.
So you have 1 minute and 2 seconds left when your time arises. The next person for citizen comment is Stanley Mohammed.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you.
Alaikum salam.
I would like to say it's very important that we understand that Jesus said, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." He also said that the devil's a liar. My own brother said the council only yields their time to me. Now, we know that's a lie. And if you look at the record, you can tell it's a lie. And I would like to say my topic is plantation politics, the crucifixion of responsible black leaders and black organizations. And I want to just cite some history about Denmark Vesey, who was a black revolutionary. And I see a parallel here in College Park, Madam Mayor. On May 30th, 1822, a house Negro named George Wilson a favorite and confidential slave, a house Negro, a turncoat, the white man's slave master, prize Negro, double-crosser, sellout Negro, an informant, inform his white slave master of a planned insurrection which involved thousands of freed and unfreed slaves in Charleston, South Carolina. Denmark Vesey was tried by all white jurors, racist jurors. He was lynched, as well as the black ones who actually were the co-conspirators of the insurrection. We have a lot of George Wilson DNAs here in College Park. There are turncoats on our black leadership. And Mayor, it was not a peaceful gathering on August 9th, like my brother falsely said. Our wonderful chief gave an admonishment. If anyone upsets this meeting, will be escorted with no warning. It was a white man that stood up in this audience on camera and yelled a profanity, which you, Mayor, are a lawyer. That is a breach of peace in disorderly conduct and disrespect to our black chief. That's a racist mentality. And so now you want me to believe, Mayor, that you're not a part of it? Some say his name is Mr. Broom. Now I want to know who Mr.
Mayor,
Broom
that's
is.
time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, 30 seconds remains for Julie McCork. Sorry if I didn't get that right. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to say that I don't agree with the previous speaker right before me. And I'm not getting paid to wear this shirt tonight. I'm here for a One United College Park. And, I just pray you guys can work through this, figure out what's best for us, and stop the corruption. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the next citizen comment comes from Randy Godfrey at 1966 Lyle, opening up deliberation and transparency.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm not on the city's payroll, nor am I seeking any contracts. I'm here to address an issue rarely discussed in events with multiple races. It's the concept of family business. Historically, a united public voice, despite internal differences, has been crucial to securing civil rights.
Mr. Godfrey, can you move the microphone a little bit closer?
Absolutely. Especially when facing widespread oppression. But here in College Park, where we have a black mayor and an entirely black city council, the dynamics have changed, and so must our approach. Your lack of transparency is deeply troubling. It forces the public to assume the worst, particularly when campaign language like White Ward 1 is used. Ward 1 is now predominantly black and brown. This reality cannot be ignored. Councilman Karn, during the budget hearings, justified selling the baseball field as correcting past wrongs in green space allocation. Yet, this decision disproportionately harms black residents, the very people we claim to want to help. Moreover, this council allows individuals, like the gentleman who spoke not too far back, to openly disrespect black citizens. You seem to dismiss the black residents of Ward 1 because they don't fit your political narratives. It's easier to use the minister to vilify white residents and make decisions behind closed doors. But the backlash you're facing is not from outsiders. It's from young black men and women who've chosen College Park for the home. These individuals are what our generation fought for. Entrepreneurs, outstanding parents, educated citizens who've done everything that we've asked of them. They represent the best in our community. Now, your family business approach has ignited their political engagement. They see you as the new oppressor. Calling the police on those who disagree with you and excluding the very citizens you claim to empower. If you continue down this path, your influence will only diminish, the rooms that you gather in will grow smaller, and I urge you to discard the family business ways, open up this city to daylight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Madam Mayor, the next comment will come from Anna Sally at 3484 Herschel Road. The topic of discussion is order.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hi. How many of you in here know who I am? Okay, so for all of you all saying you represent
Ma'am,
College Park.
ma'am, the addressing comes to the council.
You take my time.
Oh, okay. Other people turned around too, so I thought it was okay. Long story short, for people to talk about who's young in College Park, you can't have gray hair talk about what a young black person in College Park wants. If the people of College Park did not vote for these people, they would not be up there. Let's start with that. 2, democracy. Democracy is about the majority rules. They were elected, respected. 3rd, the mayor, the censor. It's embarrassing what I've seen on the news. I'm a business owner. I'm about to purchase a house with other people and bring more business to College Park. I actually plan to have a storefront here. It's actually making me want to go to another city because the way that these adults are acting like middle schoolers, yelling and, trying to do fake protests, use they not like us. I'm actually the person that's supposed to be listening to they not like us. You guys are supposed to be people's parents, mentors. You're acting embarrassing. It makes black people look like, this, that, and the third. At the end of the day, we're a rainbow of a lot of different people. You don't get to say who represents what black people want in Atlanta. It's too many of us to talk about that. The third thing, I can speak to Miss McKenzie and her husband. Her husband's my colleague. Great personality. I don't respect what these police did to him. I don't respect what the news did to him. He's the calmest person I've worked with because my job is so frantic and hectic, and they just walked him out and said he incited something when his wife was cursed at. I don't know any man that wouldn't defend their wife. I have a whole girlfriend. I would defend her. This community is not welcoming. It's not friendly. It's not the College Park I grew up in. I don't want to hear anybody talk about what the young black people want until we get some young black people in here to talk about ourselves, because that's who actually lives here. I'm tired. You guys are embarrassing me. You're embarrassing my parents, and you all need to be reprimanded. I don't want to hear about white this, black this. The people that's wearing those shirts and standing up, you don't look like the people who live in College Park. You need to look like them to say I represent them. If not, get with them, meet them, and ask them what do they want. Agree on something, because that's what we're here for, agreeing. How much more time I have?
44 seconds.
Okay. The last thing I like to say is, I'm Anna. I'm going to be here. Get to know me. If you like to meet me, I will lovely talk to you, and we can just keep getting to grow the community. I'd love to expand my business to the city of College Park, but the way that you all are acting, I don't even know if you all deserve it or if I should just stay and just go somewhere and go to East Atlanta and go to Decatur where most of my customers are. I mean, it's embarrassing. You all need to do better. And also, I'm sure about the horse manure comment, I didn't like that because your upper lip probably smells like bull manure from what you're spitting. Does that make sense? Don't talk to people like that, don't disrespect people, and don't make us look bad on the news. And ask the young black people what they want before you
Madam
bring
Mayor,
in race.
that's time. Thank
All
you.
right.
I'm not good with names, and I apologize in advance. The next person is Keith. Sorry? Theme. 1760 Vista Avenue. Topic of conversation is transparency. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have lived in College Park since 2001. And it's with heavy heart that I come here tonight because I've never been more disappointed in the way the council has been operating. The disrespectful rhetoric, lack of transparency, selling off our amenities to our children who are already underserved, creating a hostile work environment that created over 19 city employees to either leave, resign, or be fired. I'm done. And then the actions last Friday, censuring the mayor, with the horrible accusations made against her are uncalled for. I think everyone needs to take a look at one another, respect one another, and treat each other with kindness and grace. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next citizen is Rex Willis from 1927 John Calvin Avenue.
Hello, Mayor and Council.
Hello.
Where do I start? I value everything everyone came up and said tonight. I think it's very important that I love the slogan, United College Park. That was a good slogan. I've asked many times, let us come together. If you got an issue, like I said, I've been involved, I've been here 45 years. I supported white mayors, white councilmen, black, so it doesn't. No one can say one side or the other. But I never seen you all get involved. Was anything going on years ago? Yes. Do you have a legitimate reason to come up now? Yes, you have a right to get your voice out and say what you like. I'm not knocking that. This young lady came up and said about Favor House. What I say to you, young lady, Favor House been here 25 years, 25 years, doing for the community, doing for the citizens. It ain't just a food giveaway, it's a distribution center. But we help with electrical, someone stay when they get burned out. The chief right there done called us a couple times when someone got burned out. The fire chief, when someone got burned out. Get off your end and do something and get involved. You want to say what we're doing, get involved. I'm not knocking you. I don't need this money. Do you want to come up, you want to talk about Favor House getting? Only reason that we did the book bag.
Mr. Willis, I would ask you to direct your
No,
comments to the council.
I'm not turning around. I'm taking posture. So please.
Direct us, toward us, thank you.
No, I'm standing right here. I did not turn around. I can turn like I'm turning.
I would ask you just
I'm
direct
gonna
your comments
finish
to us.
what I'm
Thank you.
saying. So what I'm saying to you is, you want to talk about what we're getting, you get involved and you can see what we're doing, then you'll know. Because you're not involved and you want to talk about it, and it's very easy to do it because you're not doing anything. I did the same thing when Jamel got in with Ward 1 that I did with Councilman Clay. The mayor was there for some of the events. I did the exact same thing. Or we did the same thing. And people want to say about on the payroll, I did not start in
Mayor,
any
that's time.
contract.
Thank you, sir.
I'm getting Sabrina donating me her time. Yes, she's
sorry?
on there. Sabrina Willis is on there. She's donating
She is.
me her
Thank
time.
you.
Okay?
Thank you.
And then y'all want to talk about disrespect. I'm friends with several people up there. I haven't denied it, but I can be objective. You all know good and well the reason, and I asked Joe, and he did. When he started off the year, because she was going back and forth, Joe was going, I said, Joe, please, don't argue with her. I'm standing publicly. How many of you all got with your mayor and asked to stop doing what she's doing? How many? She was out of order the other day, and you know it. She's been out of order, carrying on. If you want to, a lot of you all want to talk, the 29 page, I don't want to bash the mayor. I want to state the facts. When the judge came back down and said to her, she's not to preside. She knows that, but she goes ahead and do it. She badgered and disrespects this city manager. She never did that to the other city managers. I was here. See, I can tell you, because I've been involved in politics here in the city. And Mayor Broom never did that with it.
Motley Broom.
Mayor Broom never did that.
Motley Broom.
I said Mayor Broom never did that.
Motley Broom.
Well, you heard what I said, Mayor Broom.
My last name is Motley
Okay,
Broom,
I said
sir.
Mayor Broom.
And
You
my
can't tell
last
me-
name is Motley Broom, sir, and I would ask you to address
Okay,
it.
I said Mayor Broom.
Fine,
So,
go ahead and.
as I said, going forward, whether you can feel that it is or not. When you come up here, like she got down here, you can't, I don't tell her what to say. She can't tell me, I'm not disrespecting her, defaming her name. And if I was defaming her name or saying something derogatory, that would be different. And I'm not. I don't care if you agree with me or not. It doesn't matter. But I'm still going to put out the facts. Not one of you all is talking about when they passed the tax for elderly people last week. Not one of you came up here for the seniors. That was very important. Isn't that important for the community? If you're not a senior, don't you know someone a senior? Did any of you all talk about that? Did any of you all go before the media and talk about it? Did the mayor do it? Heck no, she didn't. Like I said before, I'm not going to disrespect you and call you a name, disrespect you, Mayor. I'm not. But when I'm up here and I'm not talking about dividing, I said everybody have a voice, and they have a right with their voice.
Mayor, that's time.
Thank you very
sir.
much.
Mayor Dom Kelly has 1 minute and 2 seconds left in his time that he yielded.
Good evening, Mayor Motley Broom and Council. First off, the homestead exemption, thank you all for doing that, although it was done after the public was removed, so none of us actually got to see it in person. And actually, the lawyers I've spoken to have said that anything that happened after the public was removed was actually illegal and technically not passed. So that's quite unfortunate that we couldn't actually have that passed for our citizens. Also, the misogynoir in this room is really disturbing to me. The sexism is I come in here every other week, and it's the disrespect shown to women of authority in this room is horrifying. So I'm really, really struggling to love living in this city where I moved with my family so we can raise my daughter here, so that we could be involved, and to have to come here. I would love to be home with my family right now. And I'm here because I care about this city, and we're asking you for transparency. I don't think it is too
Mayor,
much
that's
to ask.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, I have one more. Is it Brad? Help me out. Sorry, can you say your last name again? DeBartolome. He's talking about documents. Thank you, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It's a long last name. Hello, Mayor and Council. A couple of weeks ago, I sent an email, I think it was the whole body, asking about the status of the document investigation for the documents found in the trash. And I know from speaking with a citizen that there was a private investigator hired by the city to investigate this. And, you know, just in the air of transparency, I think all of us would like to know the status of that. That's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, I have nobody else on the list.
How much time do we have left?
1 minute 48. I didn't have anyone who made comment on email before 7:30.
All right, well, if anyone wishes to speak for a
Clerk,
minute.
I have something that you need to take care of, please.
What is this?
A public comment that was sent in.
I don't know who sent the public comment in. It was, okay.
Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute, I asked if anyone wished to speak in the audience, because that we open it up. We've got 1 minute and 48 seconds. So if anyone wishes to speak, they can approach.
I emailed, it said that you could either come in 45 before 7:30 or email it at kokubui@gmail. I emailed it on the thing. Watching the College Park Council meetings has left me in shock. There's been a lot of reference to procedures and rules that appear to be invoked in order to silence the mayor. The mayor who was chosen by the majority of the voting people, chosen not because she was a better human, but chosen because the voting people felt she could do this specific work. But obviously, some rule is being used to silence her. I Googled it and I understand the intention of the rule. We don't want a dictatorship. At no time in the meetings have there been a threat of a College Park dictatorship. Laws, rules, official procedures is to keep us safe, make things fair, and ensure that justice and rightness is being allowed. All of us know what right and wrong is and how it looks. We choose. Well, we know that rules and laws can be used to control, oppress, suppress, and hide. We've seen Jim Crow laws, segregation laws, women's restrictive laws, unfair, unjust, children labor laws, requirements, and regulations used to control, oppress, suppress, and hide. And eventually the people rise and say, no, not fair. That law, that rule needs to change. Rules are meant to be applied justly and wisely, whether it's the officer who lets us go with a warning or the parent who's allowed to stay to let us go past bedtime. We applaud those who use their wisdom to apply the rules appropriately and justly, never to their own benefit. With our votes, we believe we are empowering the wisest and most selfless and compassionate among us to conduct themselves in a manner that is fair, honest, and just. They are not better humans or superhumans. They too are flawed. I'll email you the rest.
Thank you so much.
You may play it.
No, Councilmember, if you wish to play that during your time, that's fine, but public comment is over.
No, it was sent as a public comment. It was sent as a public
The
comment.
36 minutes has elapsed.
Oh, it was stated before you gave her time to talk.
Ms.
6 minutes for email.
The clerk said she had not
You want to
received
take a
any.
motion to play it? Is there,
Wait a minute, hold on a second. Where did it come from?
it came from Councilmember Roger Gay, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to make a motion to play the video. It's very brief.
Wait, hold on a second. Councilmember, you have time at the end.
Have a motion.
Councilmember.
I second it.
Councilmember, if you'd like to play the Georgia game.
Motion is second, Mayor.
Hold on. I'm the presiding officer. Councilmember, the 36 minutes have elapsed. So your motion is to play this 2-minute and 16-second clip of the Georgia gang so everybody can see what Alicia has to say.
Are you going to play it? You have a motion and a second?
There's a motion.
There's a second.
And there's a second from Councilmember Carn. And any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. 3 in favor. What is your vote, Councilmember Arnold?
I'm abstaining. I don't even know what it is. I have no idea what this is.
Okay, you have a motion.
Go right ahead. Go ahead and play it.
The Georgia Attorney General's office is demanding answers from College Park officials after the gallery was cleared by police during a specially called meeting last Friday. 2 people were led away in handcuffs as the interim city manager told police to eject the residents from the room. The meeting was held to censure Mayor Bianca Motley Broom for what the city council says was ongoing disruptive behavior. Alicia, what a mess.
It is a mess, and I think the media coverage hasn't quite caught what's happening here. I think this is a personality struggle and a power struggle. In many of our cities, there are some charters that have strong mayors, some that have weak mayors. This is a city that has a charter with a weak mayor. And I think this particular mayor doesn't like that language in the charter. And I think her conduct is frankly not becoming of what we would want for mayors in our state. I wonder if people are aware that she's actually the vice chair of the Georgia Municipal Association, which means that next year she's going to be the chair. And how she conducts herself is important. And you know, having to censure her is embarrassing. You know, this is a important city in our state, right? It's where the airport is. A number of amenities there. And so what I think needs to happen is they need a mediator, whether it's their peers on the city council and other places, or mayors, or city attorneys, because their city attorney is also involved, to sit down and iron out how we can figure this out. Yes, a mayor deserves to have a voice, but in this case, the mayor is the chair, right? She's supposed to conduct the meetings, not have time on the agenda to speak and opine on the issues, or even do any policy making. And so I think there's a way they can work this out.
Martha, any insight?
You know, I think it's so funny because we do spend so much time on national politics, and even on the state politics, we do the big races, right? But really where the controversy always is when you have, you know, city councils and county commissions. And look, I think your assessment was great. I mean, that's exactly what it looks like to me. We in Gainesville have the same kind of situation where the mayor's kind of a weak mayor as opposed to a strong mayor, but he has more of a say-so. So it'll be interesting to watch. It sure was fun to watch, I will say.
All right, well, according to the HAC, big changes are coming to the process for Georgia.
That's it, ma'am.
I don't think his 3 minutes are up. You want to say more?
Oh, that's all I have. Thank you.
Sure. Anything else? Anybody else want to make any motions about public comment? All right, I guess we move forward.
Madam Mayor, the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for consideration and action on a request to approve a conditional use permit for a foster care support service facility at 1699 Phoenix Parkway in a BP district. This is a public hearing, Ward 3.
Good evening.
Good evening, and I apologize for the mix-up with not having a report in your folder. This originally was going to be on the on the July 17th agenda, and it was moved forward, and somewhere along the line there's a software glitch in uploading the staff report and all of the materials. However, it was attached to the agenda for the 17th of July, so hopefully it is not too much of new material. Today we have an applicant for a conditional use permit. The applicant is Bethany Christian Services, LLC. They are requesting the approval of a conditional use permit for an unaccompanied children's program / foster care support service. Bethany Christian Services, and we have representatives here, Kimberly Offit can discuss the program in more detail and answer questions when it comes to that point. It's a national nonprofit social service organization. It was founded 80 years ago. It now operates a variety of child and family services, and it's operating in 27 states. The proposed use for the foster care support services serves two purposes. The first is office space for the Bethany Christian Services Atlanta branch, and a portion of the office space will be used for the Bethany Christian Services National Headquarters. This is approximately 50% of the building. The other 50% of the building is requested for space for the unaccompanied children's program, which is the subject of the conditional use permit. Kimberly can describe the program in more detail, but as a quick overview, the children that are serviced are living in temporary foster homes in the Atlanta metropolitan area. They participate in the program until they're reunified with family members or sponsors who live in various communities within the United States. That was one of the reasons why they wanted to be close to the airport, so that they could bring children in and get children on planes to go to their foster service locations, or to be reunited with their sponsors or family members. The length of time that the children remain in the program is dependent on processing and reunification vetting process. It typically ranges from 5 to 30 days. Right now, there's approximately, I believe, 5 to 7 children in the program. They do have capacity for a larger amount of children, but that's where they are right now with their children that they're assisting. The property is not going to be operated as a true established K through 12 school. It's not a true daycare facility that is governed by the Fulton County school system or state regulations. The operations of the program follow stringent federal guidelines under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement, the Refugee and Unaccompanied Children Programs, which are in short called ORRs. The general operating hours on the weekdays for the office uses is between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., and the provider will provide transportation for the majority of the children to the site between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. So it is not regular commuting times that they will provide the transportation to pick up the children, bring them to the facility, and return them to their foster homes. Individual educational assessments are conducted, so when the children are reunited with their family or sponsors and enrolled in a local school, the educators will have a baseline of the current level of academic performance. Some of these children have never even been to a regular school before. Acclimation approaches are tailored to each children's need. They include guidance with daily living schools, how to function in an urban setting, how to prepare themselves to be in a classroom facility, how to live in the United States, as the majority of them are not from the United States. And it also helps them be reunited with the family and enrolled in their local schools. During their time at the site, the staff also transport children to medical appointments. Some of these children have never actually been to regular doctors, don't have vaccinations, have not had proper health care. And they also offer clinical support as far as mentoring, just being sounding boards for these children who are in new circumstances, who have been through a lot. So they're providing assistance in the cultural transitioning and other functions that are similar to make the children feel more at home and be able to transition into the community. The subject property is 1699 Phoenix Parkway. It's a 3.2 acre lot. It includes a 22,743 square foot building. It previously was a Homeland Security Office building. It is located in Ward 3 under Tracy Arnold, and the building was built in 1982. It's located at the southeastern curve of Phoenix Parkway on the eastern boundary of the city. It's bounded by Clayton County to the east, and there are business park parcels to the north, west, and south. The eastern portion of the site is undeveloped. There is a small stream that runs north-south, but it does not include any wetlands or requirements for stream buffer setbacks, and no development is proposed on this portion of the site. So it will remain undeveloped as it is, and that will serve as a large portion of the site being buffer area to the surrounding neighborhoods in Clayton County. There are 88 striped parking spaces available. The rear of the building has an approximate 1,200 square foot area that's currently covered by grass. This is where the proposed outdoor play area is proposed for. The parking area and the green space at the rear of the building are enclosed by a 6-foot aluminum security fence, and it's card key activated on the east side so that all of the children's services, which are at the rear of the building, are fully enclosed within a secure area, and no one from the public can access that area. As I said before, the zoning is business park. The current ordinance does not contemplate all of the proposed uses on the property for the children's services. Typically, the permitted uses in the business park district are medical and professional offices, such as dental, imaging, physical therapy, chiropractors, etc. Professional offices, personal services, colleges, universities, vocational technical schools, and training facilities are also permitted, but K through 12 schools and daycare are not explicitly allowed nor prohibited in this district. As daycare is incidental to the services provided, and it typically requires a conditional use permit in other zones, we are, the city planner, myself, has determined that a conditional use permit would be necessary also for any of the services that are not explicitly identified in the business park zone. So although that the proposed assimilation uses on site are similar in nature to permitted uses, as I said before, as they are not explicitly defined in the zoning code, it's determined that the non-administrative and non-office portions would be subject to a conditional use permit. And the city planner can determine what category any questionable uses be placed. So that is why we are requesting this, and it also would include the fenced-in play area, which is not a typical use in a business park. Based on the staff analysis, and you have not been able to read all of the staff analysis, however, there are 20 required criteria that are reviewed, and they have been described in detail in your packets. And the Planning Commission also has reviewed all of these criteria and made a determination, a unanimous approval that this be brought forward to the City Council for determination of the request to grant a conditional use permit. In short, the use has been determined to be well suited for the proposed uses, that it does not have any negative impacts on surrounding land uses, including the residential uses to the east in Clayton County, because there is a significant enough distance and buffer between the uses to be able to protect any residential use from any potential impacts on the site. Traffic is actually less than what could be generated by the use if it was used as an office building. And it's consistent with the comprehensive plan. There would be no impact to public safety, pollution, use of toxic materials. There's no manufacturing whatsoever, even though it is in a business park. There is no manufacturing, there is no trucking, there are no adverse impacts. We believe that the proposed use will contribute to the public good. It will provide employment opportunities, and it will help meet a regional need for foster care support services for unaccompanied children to transition into the local environment and the society. It is also determined that there will be no detrimental impact on property values of surrounding properties. As I said, all of the surrounding properties are either residential in Clayton County. There is a school less than 1,000 lineal feet in Clayton County from the project site. There is a child care facility catty corner in back of this particular proposed site. So there already is a similar use directly adjacent. And there are also a number of school and training facilities in the immediate vicinity. If the City Council chooses to recommend approval of the petition, the Planning Commission had recommended that there be two conditions: that the play area is enclosed by a 6-foot aluminum picket fence, similar to that surrounding the rear of the building, and screened with landscape materials on the exterior of the fence to protect the security of the children, and that there will be additional landscape screening planted along the rear of the property and on the west side of the building, which is adjacent to the other business park uses around the mechanical equipment. And that is all I have for myself. We can call questions, or you can have the applicant do an overview of the services.
Are there any questions for Ms. Rogoff Ezra? All right, hearing none, I'll declare the public hearing open. You can start with the applicant.
Okay.
If they have anything to say. Yes. Or not, that's fine too.
Good evening, and thank you for your time this evening. We hope to bring some love and light today. We are an organization, a national organization, who does foster care among many other services here in Atlanta, led by the wonderful Dr. Offit. I'm a national director in our headquarters office that serves in the capacity of our unaccompanied children director. And in this program, we have children who are coming to the borders who have a very unsafe passage to the borders. They are at risk of human trafficking and sexual exploitation, among other things that happen to them on the way. They are fleeing violence, they are fleeing hunger, they are fleeing war, they are fleeing gang violence, and they're just coming to the United States for a different chance at life. And when they arrive here, they stay with wonderful foster parents who are in the community. We have different communities where our foster parents live. And when they are with us, I say love on them as it's a business, but we welcome them, and we give them medical services and educational services, and we pray that in less than 30 days, we will be able to reunite them with their families, which sometimes it could take longer, but it can also be in as short as 5 days. So we are hoping for this conditional use approval to continue services here in Atlanta. Are there any questions?
I actually don't have anything to add.
Does anyone else wish to speak during this public hearing? Please approach the microphone. Seeing none others, public hearing is closed. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Hold on. Councilmember Carnes made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember McKenzie. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which includes items A through I, K through P, and item R.
Okay, so that is,
Would you like for me to read them?
I'll read them, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's consideration of an action on a request to approve a bid proposal from Southeastern Tennis Courts and Supply Company for $45,460 for resurfacing cracks, repair, and pickleball lines at tennis courts at Barrett Park. Approve the purchase of 15 new replacement vehicles for the police department in the amount of $655,084. Request to purchase a 2024 Chevrolet Silverado in the amount of $63,256. Consideration of an action on a request to approve the repair cost of bucket truck 538. The next one is truck 540. Consideration of an action on a request to approve payment for the repair of sanitation unit 446 in the amount of $29,889.08. Consideration of an action on a payment for website renewal and rebuild at a cost of $26,743.50. Consideration of an action on a request to approve quote to install a door lock monitoring system at the FAA. Consideration of an action to approve a proposal for a chess pavilion at Phillips Park. I don't know that my question got answered on that one, so I'd like that one to be removed, actually, unless we can answer it. The facade grant is off. Consideration of an action to accept the Fulton County Arts and Culture Grant Award in the amount of $22,500. Consideration of an action on a request to renew the existing 5-year Johnson Controls Fire Protection Agreement. Consideration of an action on a request to approve proposal from Space Saver Storage Systems in the amount of $19,323.42. Consideration of an action on a request to pay the Georgia Department of Natural Resources drinking water invoice. Consideration of an action on a request to approve a citywide services contract with Favor House for annual back-to-school activities in the budget amount of $15,000. Consideration of an action on a request to renew the existing 3-year Siemens Fire Protection Agreement for the Gateway Center Arena. Consideration of an action on approval for a proposal from Emergent Life Skills and Education Consulting for a STEM empowerment zone. Dr. Adediran, do you have an answer to my question to 8I?
Madam Mayor, the councilman worked with Parks and Recreation, and I don't have whether it went through the bid process or what happened. I can talk to Parks and Recreation, and when I received your information was for something this evening, and I gave you what what I knew of the question. But I can ask more questions from Parks and Rec, and I'll send it to you in email.
Do we need to bid it out?
Huh?
Do we need to bid it out?
I don't know, who you asking there?
Anyone who can answer the question. I mean, do we need to bid it out?
Because of the dollar amount?
Yep.
That's a question for the city attorney. It's over $10,000, so it has to be bidded, correct?
Unless there's some exception to the public bid requirement set forth in our purchasing policy, if the threshold amount is above 10,000, we would generally bid that.
So what's the issue?
So, I mean, I saw the price there, but is Metro Corp doing the work, or?
No.
Okay,
no.
they've just set it up, and they priced it out.
No, MetroCorp is the civil engineer for the city.
Yeah.
And MetroCorp did the design. It's for a chess pavilion at Phillips Park. They did the design. They also provided our procurement person with the scope of work and things of that nature.
So is the council approving the 13,000 tonight, or what? Is it just moving forward on the concept?
Well, it's curious how you pointing this one out and all these other items on the agenda, but that being said, it is for $50,000. I don't get what is she asking? Ma'am, we can't tell a bidder what to charge. It depends on what the scope of work is. The bidders come back. But what we can do is that we can kind of set what a budget is. I think that's been our policy since I worked here from 2015.
I guess I was just unclear about what's actually getting approved this evening.
The chess pavilion, the park.
At a cost of $50,000, or I saw 13 in here. That's why.
It came out of the community enhancement grant for $50,000.
Can I make a suggestion?
Okay.
I would just suggest maybe city managers follow up to get the answer to the mayor's question, and so we can move on.
Thank you.
Councilmember, were you going to say something?
No, not about that. I just had a question about 2 items on the consent agenda.
All right.
City Attorney, it's a consent agenda, and I don't get it.
I was about to the extent we have questions about any item on the consent agenda, then the process would be to request that those items be removed from the consent agenda, and you could discuss them at that point. the clerk sounded for the consent agenda. The mayor wants one item removed.
Now, she didn't say she want an item removed. didn't hear
I
that.
did say that.
You want an item removed?
Because I had the additional question about it.
My item, that would have to be,
So, for the consent agenda, it is my recommendation that you remove the items that you would like to discuss and vote the rest of the consent agenda en masse, up or down. And so, if there are any items that, and I thought that's what we did when we
did
when
already.
we went through this, and we were going to take items off, and we took some items off the consent agenda
That's
already.
right, we did.
So, but that's fine. If we want to take other items off the consent agenda, that's fine. Just identify the items that you would like to take off, take them off and discuss them separately, but what remains of the consent agenda is my recommendation that you just vote on it.
So my apologies. I wasn't a part of that conversation, so that's the only reason that I'm asking. I don't think that I necessarily want to remove items. I just wanted to know where the budget was coming from for 2 items.
Yeah, that question requires it to be removed from the consent
Okay.
agenda. There should be no discussion on the consent agenda.
I think the confusion is they can remove it from the consent agenda and put it on the regular agenda.
Right, afterwards,
Where
yeah, not
before we
removing it.
removed items completely off of the agenda.
Right. It's just so they get voted on separately, so the questions get answered.
Okay.
I believe, and it was my understanding, that the city manager basically kind of resolved that problem. I did receive the email that if we did have any questions on any of the agenda items at all, to give him a call and he would get those answers to us earlier today. I did get the answer to a few of my questions, so I didn't have any follow-up questions. And if we're doing the consent agenda, I guess we need to do the consent agenda if we're going to move forward.
so Mayor, at this time, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I want to remove 2 items to discuss. I want to know about.
Hold on,
8F.
Councilmember,
There's a
hold on
motion
one
and a second.
moment, Councilmember Arnold, because he did make a motion. Councilmember Gay, you made a motion to approve the consent agenda as, on a whole.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember McKenzie. Any discussion? Councilmember Arnold?
Yes. So I did not receive that communication, so I couldn't give consent. However, again, like I said, I didn't have a problem. I just wanted to know about 2 items on the consent agenda and where the budget was coming from, and that is 8F and 8H, and whether or not if we had the contingencies to cover those, because they are to the equivalent of about $125,000.
Point of clarification
Hold on.
for Councilwoman Arnold.
Councilmember McKenzie?
Yeah, Councilwoman Arnold was saying that she had not received this correspondence, but this was the agenda. When we received the agenda packet actually has the consent agenda in it. So that was the only correspondence any of us received, was the consent agenda itself. And I think I saw you and the mayor had responded in terms of the city manager asking for questions. If there were any questions, I believe all of us did receive that a couple of days ago.
And question F, the truck, it will come from sanitation fund. They have more than enough fund too. It wasn't the, you can't predict what vehicle would break down. And I'll be more than glad to take you to Harvard. All the sanitation equipment
Councilmember Gay,
are
let him
very,
finish.
very old. And even in the budget, when Atia was here, we recommended that some of the equipment be, like a list, list to purchase. That was what was discussed, but they didn't foresee this, vehicle breaking down. But they have funds in sanitation fund to fix it.
Understood. So just to make sure that my colleagues are clear, I did not have my agenda until when, Dr. Emmanuel?
You received it today because we talked yesterday.
My agenda was yesterday, correct?
Yes,
We talked about that, right?
yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so
And
it wasn't,
I'm sorry,
Councilmember
I'm
Arnold-
sorry.
Councilmember Arnold's talking.
And the questions that came about the agenda items came out this evening, correct?
Yeah, the question, I mean, just, even though you got it
Right.
yesterday, but I sent the email out to mayor and council that if you have any questions, to please, send it in the email and I'll respond
But I
to
did not,
you.
but I want to make sure that I understand the consent process. Winston, could you please explain the consent process again?
Sure. Now, generally, when items are previously budgeted or otherwise not necessarily complicated, they're put on a consent agenda. Now, how these precise items got on this precise consent agenda, I do not know, but here they sit.
Understood. And what I am saying is that apparently this consent agenda was put together, correct? I don't know what that process was. I was not a part of that process. I had 2 questions about items that I cannot pull off the consent agenda because I do not have that agreement here, which, again, all I wanted to know was where the money was going to come from. That's it, nothing else.
Well, Council, what I would say to you and to every single member of the governing body, if you have any questions about any item that's on the consent agenda, just ask for that item to be taken off the consent agenda. They'll go to the regular agenda and they'll be discussed in the normal course.
Thank you.
I think one of the things that we utilized pretty well last year was putting the consent items on the workshop session to get those questions answered ahead of time so that when the consent agenda landed on the regular session, everyone had the opportunity to ask questions, and it might be something that the body considers. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor for approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Councilmembers McKenzie, Carn, and Gay are in favor. Councilmember Arnold abstains. The motion passes. Item 9A has been removed, as is 9B.
Yes, Mayor, the next agenda item is 9C, and it's discussion of millage rate, approve recommended millage rate for fiscal year 2024/25, advertisement and press release. This item is requested by Karen Slayton-Dixon, Interim Director of Finance and Accounting, but I believe someone on her staff is presenting this evening.
Good evening, Mr. Latona. How are you?
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and members of council.
good evening.
I stand before you to request permission to advertise our 2024 tax digest and 5-year history of levy. Our current millage rate of 12.619 will yield a $2.9 million increase over last year's digest. We do have the option to use the rollback rate, which is a millage rate of 11.608, which would give us only a $1.5 million increase from last year's previous budget, last year's previous digest. And that would allow us to absorb any potential adjustments through the appeal process and valuation changes.
I have discussion.
Is that it, Mr. Latona?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Councilmember McKenzie?
Okay, so basically, Mr. Latona, what you're saying is that if we go ahead, that would be an increase in taxes. So the mill
Correct.
rates, basically, you're saying if we increase taxes, we will end up with $2-point-something million in excess over, so our budget is sound.
Correct.
Okay, but if we increase taxes or the mill rate, we'll end up with $2-point-something million overage. Is that correct?
The $2.9 million.
2.9, almost 3.
2.9 million
Okay.
excess, so to speak, is the difference between last year's millage rate and this year's millage rate at the, with the increased assessed value.
Okay. And if we-
Anything, I was going to say, anything over the rollback rate of 11.608 is considered a tax increase. So if we maintain the 12.619 millage rate, we'd have to advertise as a 8.71% tax increase.
Okay. But if we roll back, that means we don't have a tax. It's almost like we're lowering taxes because we're lowering our millage rate.
Correct.
So that would be, less money would be collected from our citizens.
Correct.
For taxes.
Correct.
Okay. Now, if we decide to move forward with the increase, we would have to publish this for, you said, I saw it was about
It's 3 public meetings.
3 public meetings.
So any millage rate over 11.608 has to be advertised 3 times because it's considered a tax increase.
Okay, but if we roll back, we are still going to have $1.3 million in excess over the budget. So we have a $196 million budget. That means with this rollback, we would still have $1 million left. I just want everybody to understand what this is. So if we increase taxes, we'll have $2.9 million. So of course, I'm in favor of rollback because I don't want to raise anybody's taxes.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Arnold?
Are we changing the millage rate?
Well, that's what I'm here to get direction from. Our current millage rate is 12.619.
And that would be the same millage rate that would be proposed?
If we maintain that millage rate, that would provide us with 2.9 million in addition or excess in comparison to last year's budget. If we roll it back to what the calculations would be 11.608, and that would bring us in at $1.5 million.
Okay.
Is it?
You have more discussion? Okay, no, I did have a little bit more discussion. So basically, I
Councilmember
want.
McKenzie, go ahead.
Okay, the understanding that I want everybody to have is that leaving the millage rate what it is right now means that more taxes will be taken from you as citizens, okay? So leaving it the same means more money is coming out of your bank account, all right? Whereas if we roll back, it means you will pay the same thing in taxes in the upcoming year as you paid in the last. See, what happens is the value of your property goes up. And then when the value of your property goes up, that means you would, at the millage rate that we currently have, with the value going up, you would end up paying more money. I'm against that. So if, Joe, you want to make a motion, I want to make it clear.
Hold on. Let me acknowledge, folks. That's my job. Anyone have anything? Or are we just discussing? Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that the city roll back our millage rate to the 11.608 mills. I think we want to be consistent with Fulton County's rollback rate. Property values are going to go up continuously year after year. We're rolling back so the residents will not feel that pinch. So we want to make sure that we're bringing some savings and that money's going to go back in your pockets. That's my motion.
Second.
So the motion is to roll back to 11.608 mils, and there's a second from Councilmember McKenzie. Any further discussion?
I just have to say one more thing, especially in light of
McKenzie, go right ahead.
my seniors, since we still have issues in terms of the senior tax exemption. I still have several seniors that won't qualify even with us raising, and I think the best thing that we could do by our seniors is, and all of our residents, is to leave our taxes where they are.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous.
Mayor, the next item on the agenda is consideration and action on a request to approve No B4 security training software.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Carn. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Arnold. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That is unanimous.
Mayor, the next item on the agenda is our citizens and guests have been asking for wireless access and more as we prepare all of our locations for citizen access, wireless upgrades citywide using Fortinet, our firewall provider for better cybersecurity. The upgrade will be for all buildings and some outdoor locations. This was the item that Mr. Hicks presented during our workshop this evening.
Discussion?
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Carn.
Second with discussion.
Okay. Hold on. Just motion from Councilmember Carn. Is there a second?
I just said second with discussion.
I appreciate the civil tone amongst all of us. Thank you, Councilmember Gay. And we will go to discussion.
The only thing I would say, Director Hicks, is that a lot of people have wireless on their phone, and for the $164,000, I think that money could be also spent trying to provide wireless internet service to our apartment community. The program that they have for internet is not working. The second thing is that I don't buy the part about the firewall. I think it should be bidded out. It need to be competitively bidded. I don't see anything that make me think otherwise, that because they service our firewall, they automatically get this contract. That is not how we do business.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Mayor, I'm gonna, City Manager, I'm gonna ask before you bring any more IT procurement.
Councilmember Gay, was your vote in favor? I'm sorry.
It was. I want to
All right,
ask that
so it's
before we bring.
the motion is unanimous.
City Manager, I'm gonna ask before you bring any more contracts down that are sole source, that we bid them out.
Okay.
This is nonsensical.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Would you like for me to respond or no?
Madam Mayor, the last item under other business is item F, and it's consideration of and action on a request to increase the city employee utility credit amount from $200 per month to $400 per month for full-time employees and from $100 per month to $200 per month for part-time employees.
Motion.
Thank you, Councilmember Gay. Is there a second?
Second with discussion.
Thank you, Councilmember Carn. Go right ahead.
City Manager, I believe some of staff had some additional information for us.
I've get, you know, I left you on your desk.
I do have some here.
Yes.
But you and, did you all have anything additional for us?
No, Joe.
Or are we good?
They gave it to us already.
All right.
The information they provided, I left on your desk.
They have it.
All right. I just think this is, I'm fine with it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous.
Madam Mayor, the next item on the agenda is the city attorney's report.
I have nothing this evening, Madam Mayor.
The next item on the agenda is the city manager's report.
No report this evening, ma'am. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the report of the mayor and council.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone. I wanted to take the time to address some recent issues in our city and also provide some context. I think some of the latest media coverage of College Park has missed the broader issues at play. And frankly, I've been quite disappointed with the characterizations of me that rely on stereotypes and outdated notions about where a woman's place should be. I know my place. It is serving as your mayor. It is a role I cherish and one I'm grateful to have in this community. I do not take it for granted, and I think about how I represent each of you each and every day. It is not an easy job, but it is one that I absolutely love. And I'm not going anywhere. What you've seen come to the surface recently has been building for quite some time. And that's unfortunate. Even before my colleagues on the City Council officially met for the first time in January, there were already efforts to determine how my role as the mayor you elected could be limited. Despite not attending council meetings after the November 2023 election, public records show that some of my colleagues were inquiring with the city attorney about ways to restrict my participation in meetings, bypass my authority to sign documents, and question my membership on the Development Authority. In fact, as early as the second week of January, one of my colleagues wanted to censure me, and another expressed a desire to have me resign. These recent developments result from actions that have been in motion for a while. But my role as your mayor is one that I hold with the utmost honor. In the minds of some, I haven't stayed in the role or place they expected me to. I haven't followed the rules they think a woman should follow, or behaved as they believe a woman should. These domineering efforts of control didn't happen to my predecessors, the men who sat in this seat before me. At our most recent special called meeting, I believe you got a glimpse of why this is happening when one of my colleagues talked about the issue he had with a woman speaking to him in that way. But the unfortunate tension unfolding in our beloved city isn't just about me. It's about you. It's about our neighbors and our entire community. Through public meetings, one-on-one time with residents, town halls, and online, I've maintained my belief that free and open dialogue is fundamental to a healthy government. But right now, your ability to participate fully in our democracy is threatened. We saw the culmination of that with the removal of the entire audience on the orders of the interim city manager at the special called meeting on Friday, August 9th. This meeting was a gathering of residents concerned about our government's direction. I encourage you to look at the moments immediately before the interim city manager ordered the room cleared. The participants were not disorderly and did not deserve to be ousted. The censure my colleagues attempted to impose at the August 9th meeting regarding my actions at the August 5th meeting was indeed a distraction. I urge you to review the August 5th meeting yourself. You'll see I did not raise my voice. I did not lob insults. Yet I was accused of behaving like a kindergartner and told that I needed to behave. I don't know that Jack Longino was ever told he needed to behave. College Park, the question that I posed at the August 5th meeting was about you and your ability to interact with our city government in a straightforward and cost-effective way. However, when many of us have asked important questions this year, we've received either vague responses that don't address the issues or, even worse, silence. You should not expect this from a healthy city government. It is not the kind of leadership you deserve. We've seen this pattern repeatedly, and it includes several troubling issues. The battery energy storage facility project that was pushed on us and our neighbors in South Fulton, which I believe violated the zoning procedures law. The sale of Bill Evans Field occurred without a single community meeting or any consideration of Morehouse's proposal to renovate the valued green space and further support the development of youth sports in our community. The agreement to sell a majority of the land in 6 West that was rushed through our Development Authority after a last-minute introduction of a letter of intent without even a clear description of the land in question. Just this past week, the law firm that represented the battery energy storage company was hired to now represent our Development Authority in negotiations related to the 6 West land sale. We've also been dealing with questionable spending of your tax dollars, with little to no accountability and the steady departure of nearly 20 key staff members since the start of the year. And the list goes on. Your voices have been silenced in all of this. You've seen this unfolding, and you've reached out to us as your elected officials. You've called upon our state delegation. You've gathered in homes across the community asking, what can we do? And sometimes I know it can feel like we're facing a relentless uphill battle. But College Park, this is what I know for certain. Our city is worth the work. It is absolutely worth our effort. Do not be discouraged. I'm actually asking you to lean in more. Learn about the issues facing our community and find the place where you can fit to make our city better. College Park needs you more than ever. It's never easy to build the community that we deserve. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But we've been called in this time to do this work, and while we might get tired, we cannot quit. Please, always remember, as your elected officials, we work for you. I am so incredibly thankful for each of you, the way you keep on showing up for this city, the way you've embraced your First Amendment rights and assembled and spoken at our meetings, the constructive dialogue you've maintained at meetings in our neighborhood, on social media and beyond, and your inquiries into our practices, and keeping us accountable through open records requests and more. It is nothing but a privilege to serve as your mayor, and the things that I get to do in this space and represent this community. And I'm grateful each and every day for your support. And some of the things that I've been doing in this community, met with the Community Foundation and talked about how we work to support some of our small business owners and get those who are at level 1 up to level 2, who might be, say, in the discount mall. How do we get them to a brick and mortar spot of their own? And for those folks who are in a brick and mortar spot, how do we get them to level up and have multiple locations? And how can the Community Foundation help that work? And I know that they're going to be reaching out to each one of my colleagues about that and talking about some of the opportunities that are within their wards, and I think that's going to be a good conversation. I think Dr. Christy Arnold, if she hasn't reached out to you, will be doing that soon. And so I think that will be an excellent partnership for the city of College Park, and I'm looking forward to what will come of it. I want to congratulate the Promise Career Institute for a great opening day and couple of weeks, because we've got something special right around the corner from City Hall. And it is one of the first schools of its kind in our region that is going to be a blueprint for how we get kids who may not be necessarily thinking of going to college right into the workforce with the skills that they need. There are 9 different areas at the Promise Career Institute, including welding, early childhood education, and graphic design. The list goes on, including aviation technology, automotive technology, and there are great opportunities for our kids in South Fulton region to be able to come out of school making really good money at 18 or 19 years old and changing the trajectory of families throughout the region. And I know that my colleagues have lots of things that they've been up to as well. I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to share too. So pass it off to Councilmember McKenzie.
Thank you, Mayor. I too am a woman. I am someone's daughter. I am someone's wife. I am someone's mother. I'm someone's aunt. And I'm someone's girlfriend. Got lots of girlfriends. And I hear and I understand the plight of women. It's not easy being an intelligent African American woman who cares about her community. I came to College Park almost 8 years ago. Actually, it was over 8 years ago. I came to serve. I rolled up my sleeves from even before I got here. It was good to see Chief of Police Meadows this evening because he was one of the first people that I met with. Before my husband and I, while we were having our house built here in College Park, I met with Chief Meadows, and I was a chaplain. Unbeknownst to everybody, this is my 40th year as an ordained minister. I've served as a pastor for 25 of those years. And I came here to this city as a chaplain. I came to help our police. I came to help our fire. I gave myself to the employees of this city, which is interesting that I would be accused of creating a toxic environment amongst the people that I love so dearly, that I've given up myself, my substance, my time for this community. I stand as a woman, a strong African American woman who loves and loves and gives and gives. And I understand that this job that I have taken on is a thankless job. You can't do this job for the pat on the back. You can't do this job and present yourself as a victim. You do this job because you care. You do this job because if it was easy, everyone would do it. You do this job understanding that the road is not going to be easy. But I stand today as a woman that loves her community, a woman that is the weaker vessel, according to the Bible, a woman that should be treated with kindness and respect. And oddly enough, I have received respect from the men that are in this room, sitting around this dais, but I have not received it from all of the women. I looked to the leader and the presiding officer of this city to be a mentor to me, to bring me in. And she mentioned me earlier today. I almost censored her, but I didn't do it because she asked me not to. After being bullied and harassed my third day in office, all I wanted was to be mentored. All I wanted was to be considered a woman just like any other woman. That being said, I'll share my report. This is August, and August is National Black Business Month. National Black Business Month is celebrated in August to recognize and support Black-owned businesses and entrepreneurs. The month also highlights the contributions of Black-owned businesses to the U.S. This month was created in 2004 by historian John William Templeton and an engineer named Frederick E. Jordan to advance policies that affect Black-owned businesses and create greater economic freedom for Black communities. Now, it's been several weeks since we last had our last meeting. In fact, our last full-fledged meeting, because I won't count the one on August 5th, but it's kind of interesting that it's 9:34, and we finished all the business of the agenda way before 9:30. It's been several weeks. Actually, it's been 2 months since we really had a full-fledged meeting. We celebrated our first ever citywide Juneteenth observance on June 17th with a record-breaking crowd on the City Hall lawn. And I want to still say thank you to Tangi Warrior and all of her team that worked diligently to provide that wonderful opportunity for all of us to come together. I also want to give kudos to Beulah Lindsay, who was a voice crying in the wilderness in 2023, reprimanding us and saying, "How dare you not acknowledge Juneteenth?" And we heard you, Beulah, and we had our first annual Juneteenth celebration. That's something we should be proud of. Since you've seen me sitting in this seat, well, except for the last 2 meetings, I've attended a GMA meeting in Savannah from June 20th to the 25th. I hosted On June 29th, Senior Springo, and we had over 160 senior citizens come out, and we had a time. And the Granville firm, I want to thank them from the bottom of my heart for not just that opportunity and that investment in our community, but also we had another event where we gave out over 800 book bags, backpacks, school uniforms. We saw over 1,100 people at Bill Badgett Stadium, and that was on the 27th. And that was our our first back-to-school bash, held right here in Ward 1 at our beautiful stadium. July 17th, I won't talk a lot about that, but my husband, Jeffrey, who was terribly attacked in a very wrong way on last week. He was one of the speakers at the Boys to Men Rites of Passage. And I want to thank Councilman Karn and Councilman Gay for having the vision to be able to do something for our young men. On July 21st, the city found ourselves in the midst of a crisis. Well, maybe we weren't, but we took it on at the airport. We had several folks who had been stranded at Hartsfield Airport due to some malfunctionings in some of the aviation systems or the computers that had to do with Delta Airlines mainly. And I want to thank my colleagues who stepped up to the plate with me, Favor House, Ignite Resource Center, Karen Jeremy from the DMO, who thought it not robbery to come out on a Sunday afternoon and give blankets, pillows, personal hygiene items, snacks, you name it, diapers. We gave it all out to our people that were there at the airport. Did we have to do it? No. But we wanted people to know that College Park cares, and we are a city of hospitality. And you should have seen how people grabbed those things. They didn't even last. We ran out so fast because everybody was so happy. I also attended the grand opening, some of the grand opening for the open house for Promise Career Institute. Wonderful school, and I'm looking forward to my continued relationship with the principal of that school, who also attended my last Ward 1 Town Hall meeting, which was held here a couple of Saturdays ago. I believe it was August 3rd, same day as Kids Fest. Then, on August 1st, I am proud to announce that the City of College Park closed on the purchase of the property from Martyr for the Flint River Headwaters Preserve project. This is huge for our city. This has given us another 6.5 acres of green space, but not just green space in itself, but there will be an outdoor classroom, and again, it's a nature preserve. And the beautiful thing about this project, everybody, is it's going to also be one of the components that attaches the city of College Park to the Beltline. And I want to thank Dr. Addarin because we had to have several meetings to pull this thing off. It was not easy. Many of you know that we had to get it back on the agenda, but we did, and I want to thank my colleagues for being willing to give that project a second chance. I want to thank David Scott's office and all of our legislators in Washington for working with us to grant us the funding. We were going to receive $500,000 for that project, which will go back into the city's coffers to take care of the $200,000 plus that we had to pay at that closing. But I also want to thank Dr. Addarin because his wisdom led us to reach out to the Brownfield grant EPA persons. And we met with Amy and her Stantec team. And we found out that the grant, the phase 1 funding, had expired. And had we closed when we thought we wanted to close on that property, we would have ended up with not having the funds to get that property cleaned up. But after several meetings, and thank you, Dr. Addarin, thank you for your leadership, we were able to pull off magic on August 1st. And not only did we close on August 1st, but also on August 1st, we received the funding for the for phase 1, or whatever we needed to be able to have that cleaned up. That's huge. Tomorrow, I will host 45 students from Lovett School here, right here in this auditorium, in this chamber. We're hosting their civic leadership class. They're coming from Buckhead to our College Park to learn about what it means to be a leader. And I want to thank Aaron Hill, who is a member of the Ward 1 community, and he works at Lovett, for deciding to bring Lovett students and instructors to our beautiful city. Lastly, on Wednesday, I will join 57 leaders from the 11-county Atlanta region who have been selected for the Atlanta Regional Commission to participate in the 2024 class of the Atlanta Regional Commission's Regional Leadership Institute. I count this as a great honor and a privilege, and I don't take it lightly. This is a course of study that I will have that will last from this Wednesday all the way to my birthday on November 14th. During this time, myself and the colleagues that I will be involved with, we will explore key regional policy issues, including housing affordability, transit and transportation planning, public health, natural resources, and investments in the region's future. It has been a pleasure and an honor to serve as your councilwoman for Ward 1 in the city of College Park these 7.5 months. Again, it has not been easy. The road has been rough in some places. The going has been tough in some areas. The hills have been hard to climb. But I started out on this journey to serve this great city, a great city that is a beacon of light, a great city that sits on a hill, a great city that will show its greatness now and in the future. Thank you again for the opportunity to serve you.
Councilmember Carn?
All right. Couple of things here. First of all, we had a wonderful couple of weeks in different events throughout the summer. For those who attended the Kids Fest, it was a wonderful, wonderful event. I want to thank the city manager, our department heads who were crucial to making this happen, Mercedes Miller, Giannis Barber, who's here. Giannis, he definitely was a key player in making sure this Kids Fest was super successful. We had thousands of folks turn out. It was a wonderful, wonderful community-oriented event. We registered folks to vote. We had new initiatives going and different things for our community partners. In addition to that, the Boys to Men project and summit, the Rites of Passage Summit, I want to thank my colleagues for supporting us on that. Councilmember Gay and myself kind of took the reins with that. We had hundreds of young men that learned valuable life lessons that truly could be life-saving. We had folks in there that talked about health and hygiene. We had folks talking about conflict resolution, consequences of making the wrong decisions. We had folks in there that made plenty of the wrong decisions, that had done serious time and turned their lives around and got out and made something of themselves and talked to these young men and reached them for hour on end. Now, the basketball and the games were the draw, but let me tell you something. They left with so much more than a basketball and a T-shirt. I can tell you that firsthand. They left with life-saving advice. I'm going to say that again. City manager, life-saving advice. And I want to thank the city manager for putting that and budgeting that for very little money. We got a lot of mileage out of that I think will pay dividends well into generations. And I know it was for the young men. And I was speaking to the council members, and I'm hoping that at some point you all are going to look at doing something along the same line for our young ladies, because everybody needs good guidance and pointing these kids in the right direction that keeps them away from the nonsense, away from the crime, away from those lifestyles that are detrimental to themselves. And we want to do our best to continue programming and positive programming for folks like that. A couple of things I will speak to as well. Promise Institute opening, I attended. It's going to be a very exciting school and obviously promising, no pun intended, but we're looking forward to that. This is the first of its kind in Fulton County. It is here in College Park. We work pretty well with our Fulton County school system. Now, we also had a user agreement which used to allow the shared usage of the gymnasium at the Promise Center, which is the building that the city does own. Now, Fulton County has committed to making sure that that user agreement happens, so we want to make sure that we hold them to that promise as we held to our promise to commit to them building and expanding the Promise Center here. So we want to all keep our promises, I guess, more or less. So, City Manager, we want to follow up with Fulton County Schools to make sure that user agreement goes in and gives us the same access that we have had for decades before with our partnership with Fulton County Schools, because we promised and stuck to our commitment of committing decades of lease agreement with Fulton County Schools. So we need that partnership. Schools and cities have to work together, and we've been making good progress, and we want to keep that progress moving forward. A couple of things I will talk on in terms of things that have been going on in the news and whatnot, and things you might have heard about. In the past, I have had disagreements with our former mayor, Jack Longino, probably too many times to remember. On several occasions, and elected officials don't always agree 100% with each other. That's just par for the course. But on many occasions, I pointed out to him that, technically speaking, he was not supposed to dive into the legislative discussion. We've had those arguments back and forth but many, many times. Now, the consensus at that time was not up here to correct that issue, but it was still there in our city policy. It was still there in our city charter. And at the end of the day, things aren't going to be perfect. I want to address quite a few things that I've heard, though, in terms of what has been going on, in terms of the censure. Now, folks, this type of action is something that no governing body wants to do. It was not a proud moment for this city, not in any way whatsoever. Unfortunately, at that point in time, it was something that we had to do, because you have to have a functioning government and functionable meetings. It's my belief that we, meaning the five of us, we hold the unique responsibility to facilitate a functioning government for everyone. Sometimes people agree with our decisions, sometimes people don't. That's just the way it goes with any governing body. Now, while that resolution of censure, it did speak to the mayor's behavior, keep in mind there was future guidance in that censure in terms of amending our parliamentary procedures and ordinances. That means that this body is committed to follow its guidelines, follow its structure, and follow its own rules and regulations that it established itself. So I'm saying that because that means that that applies to any elected official who makes an attempt to make it impossible to have a functioning public meeting. So that applies to all of us. That applies to everybody here, city manager, city attorney, too, everybody. We want to have good governance in this community. We've always had good governance in this community. Yes, we've had some hiccups this year. It's a transitional year. But overall, the bad news has been overshadowing the good news. And here's the good news. I heard somebody mention a concern about our tax dollars, wasteful spending. We're responsible with our funding. We're responsible with making sure that the taxpayers' dollars are well spent. And this year, in my opinion, by far, has been the best, most physically conservative, while at the same time finding the savings, pushing out the programs that we have never had before in this city. This budget kicked in July, but we're just getting warmed up with what we have to do here. You know, the priority of putting our residents first is no joke. And when I talk about that, I mean it quite literally. And I think we've displayed that in the last 6 months, despite the turmoil, despite the issues. You know, funding for projects that we've never done before. A historical museum project for our legacy residents. We did that. Major improvements in every single one of our parks and recreation centers, while at the same time, with those major improvements, making citywide parks and recreation programs free of charge to low-income residents. The community literacy program we're working on. This will involve teachers. This will involve residents, because we cannot do it without you. Children being able to read on their grade level is paramount. You know, that's how they measure the number of prison beds for the future, based on third grade reading test scores. How many of y'all have heard that before? It's real. It is real. After third grade, if you don't know how to read, let me tell you something. It is not a good situation. When my kids got into kindergarten, our principal sat us down. She said, all right, here it is. You got from kindergarten to third grade for your children to learn how to read proficiently. That's when we teach them to read. After the third grade, they got to read proficiently to learn anything else. And if they're not on that reading level after third grade, there's a major chance that they're going to be behind the rest of their educational career. So that's serious. And people laughed when I mentioned the community literacy program. Well, it's your right to laugh, but it's no laughing matter to me, and we're serious about it. It is my intention to flood this community with books, with incentives for children to read and improve their skills up to grade level, above reading grade level. But we cannot do it without our residents helping out, because you all understand the value of education. And there are plenty of children that need that help. And we put in the funding to send that help to our residents so that we can have a better community overall. The litter program, we're funding and the development of this. This is going to be something that I believe could wind up being probably one of the most innovative and effective cleanup, litter, supplemental projects that we had for sanitation ever. We're looking at smart receptacles. We're looking at e-waste kiosk, electronic waste kiosk. We're looking at recycling apps. We're looking at some new things that other cities are doing innovatively. The Sprinter vans for children in our community for the first time that want to participate in after-school programs and go to parks and recreation. Before this year, someone wanted to use Sprinter vans for trash collection. I said, well, what about picking up our children that don't have vehicles or access? You know, in our apartment communities, half of our residents don't have reliable transportation. Yeah. We have different dynamics from other cities, so we have to provide accordingly. And we're trying to adjust things to put the residents first. But there are a lot of people that don't like that. That's why the past 6 months, 7 months, you've seen a little bit of turmoil. It's not all about what's going on up here. It's what too many of us are doing out there for certain people that some people feel, well, maybe they shouldn't be getting all these services. The Community Resource Center, which is something sorely needed in my area. We're going to have a community resource center. We don't have a meeting location for residents in my area. We're going to build a facility where we can have meetings. We're going to have things that the community has been asking me for years that I never had the votes to acquire here. They ask about clothing or things that they need. So we're going to have a small thrift store in there. And this thrift store, we can't do it without residents' help. There are thousands of residents that have stuff in their basements that they're trying to get rid of. I know I certainly am one of them, and that we do not need, that we donate to Goodwill. Well, let's look at our own Goodwill in College Park and what some community folks need. You know, when these folks come into our apartment communities, which was 75% rental, well, it occurred to me, because I'm listening to residents, they may not be able to afford a baby crib brand new or some lamps and a sofa or whatever they need. So some gently used stuff from donating from our communities, and not just College Park, East Point, South Fulton, all over. These are things our community are asking for that there's a need for. And folks that may need a decent tie so they can get to a job interview. But we're going to try to provide some things that we haven't provided before in our community that are needed in our community, that don't cost a whole lot. But it's worth the expense. It's worth doing it. You know, the ability for our residents, for more and more of them to be completely exempt from city property taxes for our seniors. That's worth something, y'all. Putting those dollars back into the residents' pockets so they won't have to pay that property tax for our seniors, while additionally lowering the residential millage rate. You know, this decision today we made on top of that. This is how you responsibly try to set public policy, and we are trying to do that responsibly. Are we perfect? No. But I want y'all to understand what we're getting done with your tax dollars. And when someone said wasteful spending, I wanted to talk about it, and I wanted to discuss it. The power department, we've lowered electricity rates once again. Folks, we are 29% lower than Georgia Power for the same amount of kilowatt hours every single month. Now, everybody's electric bill is too high, mine too. But I can tell you right now, anywhere else around here, you'd be paying 29% more. Not to mention, we have the lowest base charge just about in Fulton County. On top of that, removal of the base charge for residents 65 and under. No one else has that. On top of that, an additional 10% off your total bill for residents 65 and over. I want y'all to understand, when we talk about, if someone says wasteful spending and we're not making good decisions, well, I beg to differ. Are we making perfect decisions? No. But we are moving light years ahead of a lot of cities around here. And I'm proud of the job that we're doing. But let me tell you this in closing. This could not be done with solid management in this community. And folks, you know, Dr. Emanuel, let me tell y'all a little something. He may have a little different management style, but at the end of the day, he is getting it done. If you want to check the record for the last 8 months, check the record. I just read off a few of them. Check the record in terms of how your money is being spent. Check the record. But that takes sound management. That takes a city attorney that's working in conjunction and department heads communicating. And Dr. Emanuel has opened up lines of communication with these departments like never before. He's turned his ear towards staff's needs and he's listened. He's made some great decisions. A lot of these savings and things we're doing, you know, he came in and cut these budgets internally. We had to trim some fat. And that's a painful trim sometimes for staff and departments. But you know what? It allows for other priorities, like the ones I was talking about. So people say, well, things are chaotic or things are disrupted, this, that, and the other. Well, we're still getting it done for our community. And this is the best I've seen us doing it at, despite the issues and turmoil. I think we need to get it together up here, keep things as professional as possible. I do my best to try to do that. I do believe that we're stronger in this community now than we have been before, despite what you hear. If you're looking at the facts on paper, it's hard to deny those facts. These women up here are serving at their best and utmost and doing a wonderful job. I believe personally that women are by far the strongest vessels in this community. It's not even a contest, because women carry this city on their backs, and they have for many, 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 many decades. I grew up in a household full of women. My mother, my grandmother, my two sisters, and I've always been as respectful to women as I possibly could be. Have I been perfect? Absolutely not. And I apologize for my missteps, but I am working every day to do better and working every day to serve our residents better. I listen to our residents, and I want to try to deliver as much as we can. No, we can't get it all done for our residents, but we're trying to do our best. And I want everyone to know that we do have our women's backs in this community and on this council as well. Now, we don't always agree 100% up here, but again, we're going to double our efforts to do better. The way we present ourselves to this state and this country and this city is important, and we have to be more and more cognizant of that. So we're going to do a better job at that. And excuse the rambling, but that's all I got. Thank y'all so much.
Councilmember Arnold.
Okay, let's see, where do I start? I have a lot of different updates, and my stuff is not in order. I didn't take notes this time, so I may be doing some rambling too. So I want to start with the celebration that we had for Juneteenth. It was historic, as all of the other things that we have done this year since the beginning of the year, starting with us making history as a council. And so for the planning team that worked to put that on, I just want to give them a great thanks for all of the planning. And then I also wanted to make sure that, I don't know whether or not if I had the opportunity to thank the businesses that put together the new Godby Road celebration that we did, but I wanted to make sure that I thank that group, especially to Mr. Andre Joseph, who really took leadership in wanting to make sure that we spotlight all of the changes that are coming to Godby Road and the good work that the businesses are doing there. I wanted to also just recognize the fact that we did all participate in training in June at GMA, and we all brought back some great tips that we have discussed that we want to implement, and I think that we've mentioned those things, the way that we run our meetings and some of the operational efficiencies and some of the things that we can bring back to the community. So that was some great information, and I am especially looking forward to bringing a couple of educational extension programs to the city, and I will be sharing more details about those programs, but they are tied to science. I think that my colleague mentioned earlier about some STEM initiatives, but some of these things are a little bit further than that, with gaming and programming, financial literacy. So adding to the educational experience that students are learning in school, but also supporting their families. We also participated in the Mega Power conference, and my takeaway from that was the possibility of bringing some projects here in the city. Maybe we'll be interested in looking at how we could leverage, power EV charging stations in the city, and maybe that could be a new source of revenue. So those were some of the takeaways from those trainings. Last week I had the opportunity, and one other update is I also hosted my town hall meeting during that time. And for the month of July, I know there were some comments that were made in reference to us being off for the month, but it was my recommendation that we take the month of July off for the staff so that they would have the opportunity and the time. I think that for the first 6 months of the year, we were doing a lot of work, and we passed a massive budget, and giving them the opportunity to implement everything that was needed so that our new fiscal year would start successfully. And I don't think that it was a big ask, but I do recall that there were some comments that were made. If you take into consideration that throughout the year, we have 2 meetings every month, except for July and December. And when thinking about staff, the question that came across my mind was, when do we give staff the opportunity to take vacation? They're working tirelessly, long hours for us. There was a conversation that I had with Dr. Emanuel over the weekend where he mentioned to me that even for this agenda, that they were here until about 9, 10 o'clock at night trying to put it together. And so the staff is working overtime to make sure that we do what we need to do to support the constituents that have given us this awesome responsibility to represent them. So I'm going to take one for the team for that, because that was my suggestion. I think that we should try to build in a calendar that allows us to give staff some time off during the summer and during the Christmas holiday season. Maybe that's a conversation that we can have later on down the road, but at the end of the day, none of us would be here or be successful in doing what we do for the city without the staff. And so we don't want to burn them out and give them some time to spend with their families during the summer and during the holiday season if we can. So last week I participated in the Clayton County Municipal Association meeting where the mayor appointed me to the bylaws committee, and we completed our bylaws for that group, and so it was hard work, but I think that we've gotten ourselves to a point where we are working well with our sister cities. We have some celebrations that are coming up with Clayton County for those residents that live in Clayton County. As you know, we're getting a new CEO, and so there will be a time and opportunity to give a great send-off to CEO Jeff Turner. And as I learn more information, or if the mayor learns more information about that, we will make sure that we share that with the city. One of the biggest things that's coming up for Clayton County that we are all preparing for is the Purple Heart Proclamation. I think I mentioned this before. We are doing a Purple Heart Proclamation. It includes College Park. College Park is split between Fulton County and Clayton County, and in Clayton County, we are the last city to earn that Purple Heart designation. Once we do, Clayton County will be a Purple Heart County, and I think that is awesome recognition, and I'm looking forward to us celebrating with our sister cities and our legislative partners in both counties. And last but not least, I have an event coming up in a few weeks. I will share more details as I continue to plan, but I'm calling it the end of summer celebration. It's a little cookout that I'll have, and I have a donor that is supporting this event. We will have bounce houses, face painting for kids, hot dogs, and also doing voters registration. The location is still being finalized, but it will either be at Zup Park or TWRC. And that's all that I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilmember Gay?
I just have a couple things this evening, Mayor, and the staff that's still here. City Manager, we continue to talk about the vape shops. If we can just keep having our staff to be vigilant, because I'm starting to see more and more products introduced to the vape shops, and even to our gas stations. I noticed that racetrack organization won't allow certain things sold out of their store. So I would like for us to try and look at creating those same types of standards. That is absolutely an epidemic of our youth vaping. The next thing is I'm going to introduce on the agenda for budget modification for a mechanical arm. What I learned is that we was trying our best to be, conservative with the budget. I didn't know we were gonna give ourselves, which I'm excited about, but we missed the opportunity to give a mechanical arm to the Public Works Department. And what happens is the trees are growing out into the walkways, the right-of-ways. They just can't manage it safely without, and they actually been trying to get the tree contractor to help cut back, but that's not their role. This is a very expensive deal, but it's just, if we can do the cars for the cops, we gotta do right by our Public Works, okay? So they're gonna be giving you the costs, and I'll talk to my colleagues, and they can also talk with Public Works to get up to speed on what those costs are and why it's so necessary. Excited to learn that streets are about to be paved, waiting for the signature of the mayor. That's a long time coming, so I'm excited to get some of the streets paved in my ward. Also excited about the property tax exemption that my colleagues passed. I just keep thinking about teams, how it's something that we sponsored 2 years ago, and the governor signed it into law, and it was reversed because they wanted the income. And who would have thought 2 years later my colleagues Corn and McKenzie would sponsor the legislation to lower. So that's amazing work of teamwork. So we scored, and that's all that mattered. The team won. So we need to figure out how we're going to implement this, because I understand that there's still taxes that are not being collected. When would this start? So that's a conversation we might need to have. We have the upcoming Ward 4 Festival, which is our 8th year. It started out of the need to bring a community together that wasn't involved in the community when I got elected. It was just very polarized. I would love to see more Ward 1, those people that come in from United College Park. Would love to see more of them enjoying the festivity. Or we go to their, we didn't go to their, so I just like for it to be a citywide, that's why I call it citywide. But it's October the 12th, and it's usually a lot of fun, and look forward to that. That's gonna be at Charles Phillips Park. Just talk a little bit about the chess pavilion. There was some questions earlier, so it's basically at Charles Phillips Park. It's something that could be done at all y'all's parks. But there's a show, if you want to look at it, it's called Life of a King. The actor is Cuba Gooding Jr. He went to prison, and he got taught chess by a guy doing life. And when he got out, he became a substitute teacher, and long story short, he got a class of in-school suspension. They were gangbangers selling dope in the room. It was just crazy. But somehow he introduced them to chess. And one of the guys that in the gang happened to be actually very smart. His mother was on crack. She was like, hey, he don't need to be doing this. But as the story goes, he makes it all the way to play the master. And he lost. And the master said, you really had me worried. And he says, don't make me feel good. And the chess master said, no, seriously, I was really, really scared. So chess, my brother Gary taught me chess when I was at St. Paul of the Cross. So chess is important to our community as a way to build our, so I'm excited to bring that amenity over to Phillips Park. And that includes a life-size board, 40 by 40. The pad is 40 by 40. They include having to take down 3 pine trees. It's about a 6-inch pad, but it's got 4 bit, and Hubert drew it. Hubert Druid. It's got about 4 benches with chess boards on the benches, and it's got the life-size pieces. I'm excited to teach some kids how to move the life-size pieces. So that's it about the chess piece. Okay. Next thing I want to say is that I don't want to be negative, but I do want to just briefly, anybody who listens to this, they can just take their cursor and increase it to the end and hear any of our speeches. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. But I do want to address a few things about battery storage. Listen, I didn't know anything about a battery storage. The former Ambrose Clay, MIT engineer, this was his project. I had no clue what a battery storage was. All I know is that it was a bunch of batteries. And so I voted against it out of ignorance. I voted against it the second time because I just didn't like them. They weren't voting for me, so I didn't vote for them. That's just the truth. The first time was out of ignorance. The second time, I just didn't like them. So out of the chaos, it was so chaotic, the mayor forgot to call for the vote. So what happened was, when Nexair came back to the community, they hired an attorney who just happened to know how zoning works. This is what he does. And he saw that the vote was never properly called for. It wasn't denied or rejected. Ambrose started talking, as he always do. He just started talking. And he just went off into a whole nother tantrum, and the vote was not. So the point is, there was no need to have public comment. There was no need to take it back to planning and zoning. The law was clear. It was well settled. It wasn't sneaking it in. It just didn't have to happen. And it wasn't going to change the people's opinions anyways. And I just want to say, what does battery storage mean? I'm not no advocate for these people, but what I will tell you is that there's enough power, Dr. Chacol, there's enough power to power up a lot of power. I mean, we're talking about a lot of power. But it's mostly when the line is low. Now, when we went to MEAC, right? I was sitting next to you. When we went to MEAC, what I learned was battery storage is not going to power the airport when there's an outage. Battery storage ain't going to power no hospital. But what I learned was that Georgia Power cannot even meet the demands of power. I learned that AI, ChatGPT, take more power, and sitting everybody on ChatGPT, I didn't realize it takes so much power just to be on ChatGPT. So, and then these data centers. There's one on Garvey Road, which nobody said anything about it when it was getting built, by the way. It just hums, and nobody says anything about it. But and it also is the higher user of our power. So my point is, in order for cities to bring more data centers, Georgia Power can't even meet the demand. And the last thing I will tell you about battery storage is that you keep saying, well, why are you putting it down there? Why? Isn't that what they call environmental injustice? Why are you putting it down there? Well, what I didn't realize was that there's a grid system. You remember when we were young, how you can call your loved ones on long distance and they could hear you? That's before satellite. So sound travels. And that grid system is essential. They also proposing to put a battery storage in Douglasville, twice as big as in this one. And to those critics and those rhetorics who, I don't know where you're getting the time from to be on the social media as much, but they are going to revisit finding a way to reverse their grant and find more positive ways to impact the community. And they'll be coming here with that. So when we had the campaign, we was at that campaign house right there, that yellow house. This is no exaggeration. the planes are so close to that roof of that house. If you were to stand on you would get hit by but that plane has never crashed. That plane has never crashed. And so our great city of College Park has all kind of logistical things that go through our city. But we, as I said in my op-ed, we've been fortunate to know how to balance these changes. So I will want to tell you about Bill Evans Field. Look, I've been living here since 2015. I had never even been to Bill Evans Field. I much less never even walked down there. I never seen one ball game. This business about Morehouse, that's not true. Let's be factual about what's going on. They never had money from Morehouse. That was their proposal. I'm a Morehouse parent. Morehouse trustees, Morehouse president, Morehouse city attorney, school attorney, they have not voted to give college to come over here and build no field. That was a conversation, but the way they spent it, it sounded like they were. It was not. And fact check me. Go over to Morehouse and find the document, find the president, and ask them, did you all authorize to give? No, we did not. That them boys was over here just trying to sell they pitch. And then another thing I tell you is that, and I've heard this from my colleague, you're talking about $100 million development on that space. $100 million development. That's what College Park needs. Now, I will say this to the people who keep calling us out as being unethical and illegal. Let me make you aware of a few things. The West Fayetteville Apartments was financed by what's called a pass-through bond. What does that mean? That means our great chief leader and our finance advisor allowed them to use our full faith and credit. That's just like calling your uncle. That's why I love debate, because there's always two sides. Love it. That's just like using somebody's co-signer. Now, I asked the question, pull the minutes. I said, do we carry the liability if they don't get the tax credits from the state? And they gave me some fast, quick answer. You stupid, you don't get it. Just a quick, fast answer. But the truth of the matter is, let one of y'all get ready to develop something, come down here and let us use our credit, our AAA rating. That's what that looks like. And thank God the development did get built. They did. But the truth of the matter is, not one United College Park, not one came down here, and this ain't on no social media. But the truth of the matter is, they used our credit for phase one of their financing. Two. That's why Lakeitha Reese told me, whenever you point your finger at somebody, it's going to be three of them pointing back at you. Be careful about pointing your finger, because it's going to be three pointing back at you. Now let's talk real quick about, because what I'm really trying to do is put this on the record, because there are important people that's going to be listening to us. So that's really what I'm trying to do, to give some more content. It's not preaching to the choir. I'm trying to perfect the record. Two, we did a moratorium on auctioning people's tax lien in the same calendar year that they were delinquent. Now, what does that mean? What does that even mean? It means that if you delinquent on your residential property tax, in September, your tax next month, right in this same room, we're going to be auctioned by an auctioneer. Just like the same guy that used to be over there on Lee Street at that furniture store, Pilgrims. Your tax was going to be auctioned. And most likely, you ain't going to be able to buy it back. Because if you got a house with $200,000-$300,000 worth of equity in it, and your tax was $1,000, and some predator investor come down here and buy your tax lien for, say, $80,000. How you gonna get $80,000 to pay them back when you couldn't even pay the $1,000? Now, what I did learn is that if he do a petition for quiet title, if he go to make himself whole on your property, your family do get that 80. And that's some comfort, but your house was worth $200,000-300,000. That's been halted by great counsel. My colleagues to the right halted that. Now, if y'all want to do like we back in grade school and want to tattletale, then one of our elected officials, family member, owns a lot of those tax liens. That ain't on Speak Up College Park. It never on Speak Up College Park. And that same elected official sits in executive session while we talk about price. That ain't right. That's not fair. That's not on Speak Up College Park. The Attorney General need to add that to his list. You can get the names from the minutes. Oh, I would say this, and I'm saying this respectfully. And I'm saying this with all the business acumen that I can speak of. I love this city. But I think GMA needs to seriously consider the bigger picture here. There is no way you can have a leader who has divided her city, incited the fears and prejudice of a group of people, as I've seen, and then to be a leader of the Georgia Municipal Association. That's not right. I don't know their bylaws, but I think they need to seriously look at the bigger picture and be objectional. The Bible said, if you can't do the least of things, I'm certainly not going to bless you with great things. Start here. Start right here in this chambers before you try and make a face for the state. I'm going to be done, but I'm also, since we want to start making us look in a bad light, and what's unprecedented, Mayor, when you got elected, all the black men leaders were fired through you. Oscar Hudson, Rainey, I can go on and on. They all was gone in the same year, your first year. They all were gone. So then you went after the city manager. You told him, you said, and this ain't hearsay. You told him, he says, I got 3 votes. You do what I say, and you even threatened him not even to give him a reference. You had that man crying. A grown man crying in my face. And I told him, I said, Terrence, the day gonna come when you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, I am so glad that this happened to me. That man called me with both his sons in college. One is in law school. The youngest is at Texas A&M. He's happily remarried. And so the point is, as my grandfather say, you reap what you sow in this life. You reap good and you reap bad. So don't sit up here and act like you are a victim. You are not a victim. We took you to a retreat. These women extended their whole heart to you. They weren't even paying attention to us. I thought it was your retreat. The whole 2 days was built to show you love and to reach out to you. And you had filed a lawsuit against us and left early. But yet you tell these people that come down here that you a victim. And these women went out their way, and still, right tomorrow, if you reach out to them, they will still show you love, because that's who they are. But you were a super strong mayor your first term in office. You were super strong. You voted 99.9% with your two colleagues on the right. You ran this city ironclad. You threatened our lawyer. You threatened everybody. Then you came after me, but you didn't realize how resilient I was. And so now the charter's taking you back to what the founders of College Park wanted. A weak mayor. And you're not silent. And I'm going to just say this. You're not silent. You're certainly not silent because you have a website where you take our agenda and you put it on there, and then you comment how you think the community should feel about it. That's a part of communication. So you're not silent there. And you talk continuously, you as if nothing is. You act like them people didn't. You just keep talking. And we're going to be Southern gentlemen, and we're going to respect the rule of law. But at some point, you got to say to yourself, "What am I doing?" You keep saying, "I'm not going nowhere." That's fine. You stay here, but you got to work with us. How are you getting anything accomplished for your constituents? How? You haven't sponsored any legislation for your constituents. All you're doing is inciting these people to be angrier and angrier and angrier. You need to be working for these people. Instead of you going to the White House and trying to get another notch on your career, you need to use that bully pulpit to build College Park. You should be over at Chick-fil-A right now getting us $1 billion. They're millionaires. They don't even get College Park a dime. And they in my ward, or Joe ward. He owned the whole city, or Joe ward. But the point is, you can use that mic you got to do some amazing stuff. I know you talk about what you did, but you're not even on the level of what you could do with that microphone you got. Stop acting out with us. Let us do the people business and use your God-given talent and use that position that these 900 some people voted for you, and go outside of this chamber and do amazing stuff for College Park. Take our revenue to $1 billion. Instead of beating up on next year, learn about them. That's the most sensual thing that has happened to the Tri-City in years. That's bigger than the airport. And I think I covered everything, and I don't want to keep staying negative, but just want to make sure I got everything. Did I get it all?
I can't imagine that you did.
Hold on, Mayor. Just give me 1 second. I just want to echo on 2 quick things. We have the soccer field at the BITA that's getting ready to start. Moms, you soccer moms, y'all come out to the soccer field. It's an amazing program. We have Hawthorne Station. It's a $100 million development. They still have homes. There's a Brandon Field that's been improved. There's almost $1 million field at Brandon Park. Come and enjoy it. We have 2.5 million. Let me say this real quick. Let me talk about 6 West real quick, because you brought that up. Listen, I moved here in 1998. 1998 from Atlanta, coming off a divorce. And I came to College Park, and I said, what is that over there? In the same area that I saw in 1998 exists today. There's not been one shovel of dirt other than y'all spending our tax money, you and Jackson Myers them. Not one thing has been developed. Now what I'll tell you is what that looks like to me is Kasim Reed. Kasim Reed. He sold the Army base. He didn't make a lot of profit. So, oh, he's corrupt. But he was in the long game. He put his legacy in front of his election. Then you said the same thing about the man about the stadium. And he told you, chill out, I got something coming. You go over there today. Yeah, Cobb County got the battery. They got the stadium from us. They got it. We miss it. But they happy up there, and I'm happy for them. And what do we get? We got one of the amazing urban developments in the country, and it's got the Georgia State. It's got development in Summerhill. This is amazing. So why I'm bringing that to the point is, I see the vision for College Park. I see it plain as day. I see it. I see 6 West. Ms. Temp Clerk, I see 6 West. I see it plain as day. I see that when we not up here, y'all may be up here, you're going to be like, man, I'm so glad we did this. No, we didn't make a whole lot of money. We broke even. But you may be talking about a $2 billion development, as Trump said. I think I'm right. I'm serious. You may see amazing development. So it's not always about trying to break even, Mayor. So when you talk about, and another thing, man, don't prejudice the people who's trying to work. I mean, give these people a chance. Don't publicly assassinate their character. These are professional people who've been doing this for 2 decades. Don't assassinate them publicly. You know, give it a chance. 6 West can be amazing for College Park. So I wanted to throw that in about 6 West, and that's my time. And we have executive session. I have 2 items in executive session.
What's the purpose of executive session?
Personnel.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilmember McKenzie, second by Councilmember Gay. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor? That is unanimous.